the incumbents tend to maintain their hold on their numbers. And that is what has played out in Adansia Square constituency. So for those who want to see the back of KT Hammond in Parliament, he will now stand as the most experienced member of the NPP going into the 2025 Parliament. And that could increase, I mean, if he's interested in becoming majority leader, that would be there for the taking or for negotiation. But it's early days yet. But for now, KT Hammond can pipe down and celebrate and probably forgive his contender. He may not have to beat him up again.
Indeed, he may not have to. But, I'll go over it again. Based on the provisional results we have seen here, the Election Command Center, KT Hammond wins as parliamentary candidate in Adansia Sokwa. Efia is also one of those places we'll go to. But before then, let's hear from Nashoko. How are people responding to KT Hammond's "We will mercilessly beat Sami Benfo"? What are they saying?
Well, that video came as a surprise to many people who were monitoring online. We put up a question earlier to ask, what do you think should happen to KT Hammond, who openly threatened violence at the ongoing NPP Parliamentary Primaries? And if you watched that video, you saw that there were police officers standing right in front of him when he said that. Let's just take a look at the video, and then I'll read some messages coming in, especially directed at the law enforcement, the policemen who stood in front of him when he made that statement. So let's take a look at the video first, and then I'll read some messages coming in.
He's mercilessly beaten to pop. I will humiliate him at the post and get him beaten. I'm just putting you on notice. I will not disorganize anything here. But get him wherever he is. He should leave town quickly. Chief, you are about 24 years in the come and see. My top boys. Maybe. Now, Mr. Crabby, who could take care for the 7? A mobile baby, no one got a person to the ground. Now they are begging. I said, now, what more Buruk day? Some of them came to my house, my patcho, my trouble. Now, what about that? My trouble, without trouble, who free here? I'll poor like you, over woman, Mama, Mr. Commander, and I am going to give him a showdown. 2 forms of showdown. I'll beat him here, I will humiliate him here, and then organize for him to be beaten physically. Thank you very much.
And that was a video of MP of Asqua saying that he will beat up his opponent, the Deputy CEO of the Ghana Library Authority, Sami Benfo. He said this right in the presence of police officers. This happened earlier today. After we put up this video on our Twitter or X page, we got a lot of messages, especially directed to the police officers who were in front of him when he made that statement. Osekeni Kofi Teria says this goes to the law enforcement agencies. Is there any law working in Ghana under this clueless government? And that's from Koka Frederick. All right. Now, Ni Amu Jr., as Sean says, why should anything be done to him? If I had the power, I would have sanctioned all the police officers who stood there. To whom do they owe allegiance, and who pays their taxes? If it was the ordinary citizen, you would have seen how they would have handled him. All right. More messages. Force and Balfour says, those standing in front of him knew what to do, but they were expecting that thing to be done by the youth. Then they'll start acting like we've just gotten independence. All right. This is the kind of people who head our state. How can the country move forward? This is the most painful thing, and they will win in the end. And that's from Mutala Mohammed Said. And it's interesting that he would say this. He put up this message about 33 minutes ago, and we have just heard provisional results coming in that KT Hammond has, in fact, won in his constituency. Abdullah Ibrahim says he should be arrested and interrogated by the police, just like any other person, if found to break any law. The law should take its course. And then Tika Bayom Aaron says nothing should happen to him because he was only saying this out of anger. So he says, well, nothing should happen to him. A similar comment from Musa Ali Khan says, what should happen to him? Nothing. He's a great comedian who should be allowed to do his comedy business. All right.
There's a section of, the commentators, and as people say, netizens, who think that he was just saying this out of anger, and we shouldn't take him seriously.
Yes. In fact, I think in one of the calls that you had live on the show, one of your callers, one of your resource people online said that, well, it was just one of the things he says, he's dramatic, and so shouldn't be taken seriously. But if you watch the video live, I mean, that resource person did not watch the video, he just listened to the audio.
Indeed.
But if you watch the video, then you can interpret it
He was throwing
probably
quite
differently.
a fist.
Yes. Differently, because he appeared upset. It didn't look like just one of those dramatic comments that a person might pass. All right. Now, Abdul Mumin says, once his party is in power, our opinions will not matter. And then finally, Senior Elisha says, that's the nature of the NPP. Katie Hammond is not different. And I'll take this last message about the police again. Police were, the police were there, but they couldn't arrest him. I believe that's what this texter wanted to say.
Yeah.
But like the ordinary Ghanaian, by now, the person would have been sweating at the police station.
Which is also true, isn't it?
Yes, which is quite true. Indeed. So while a lot of the messages clearly, people expressing disappointment in Katie Hammond's behavior and his utterances and threats, a lot of the messages are directed towards the police officers who stood there and appeared to do nothing. We don't know what they did after or what they intended to do. Yeah. But at least while he was talking, they appeared to do nothing.
Indeed.
Also in the trends,
we'll hear more from the trends, but I want us to wrap up the conversation on Adansia Sokwa based on the results that we've had. These provisional results show that Katie Hammond is clearly in the lead, most likely to be announced the winner in that race. What are the numbers we are hearing?
That he managed to garner 310 out of a total of 493 votes. So if you do the statistical audit, he profits the statistician. You would not. There's no way. I mean, if you look at the difference between the total vote cast and what Katie Hammond has been able to get, 310 out of 493, and there are 3 contenders, obviously. Katie Hammond is home and dry in that constituency.
Indeed, indeed, and there's no surprise there again.
No.
Prof, your quick thoughts on that before we move to other issues in the trends.
Well, we can only congratulate him. He's been through this for quite a number of times, and he knows how to win his elections. So he was very confident he was going to win, and I think through to what we hear, he has won. What we would plead with him is not to do the other one he said he would do after he wins. And he has put the police on notice. So I think from here, the police should be extra attentive so that I know he may not carry it out. Like he said, he likes to do that. He's quite a free man. But, I mean, once he's on notice, we should manage the situation such that the excess he talks about will not. There's no need. After elections, you come together and you procure a common purpose. So,
But Prof, one thing we haven't looked at that the trends are telling us is the conduct of the police officers also, based on what the trends are saying and the commenters are saying on Facebook particularly. It would seem that the police could have done more. Your thoughts on that?
Well, they know their job better. They are very professional. They've been trained to manage situations and, I mean, the proper response as and when needed. I think at this point, at the point where the man was expressing frustration, they couldn't have arrested him. He was not actually beating the gentleman or maybe doing what he was talking about. He was complaining. He was furious and was talking. All they needed to do was to manage him. They are peace officers. Police officers are agents of peace. They embody the peace of our society. So maybe they did what professionally they've been trained to do on instances like that. If he had carried through, perhaps we would have seen a different response from the police. So for now, I don't think we should blame the police too much. They've managed the situation well.
We'll come back to the results we are hearing. But you recall that Yendi was one of those places to wrap up the elections quickly. We understand that there's some kind of mayhem there. Ballot papers are being torn into pieces. But Christopher Mwako has all the details for us. Christopher, what exactly is fueling all of these?
Yes, so when sorting was done and counting about to begin, the supporters of Abibata, CEO of Maslog, indicated that he saw someone give some ballot papers that had stamps of Farouk Aliu Mahama to the EC official, and he had added it to the ballots that he was about to count. So some confusion erupted, and as we speak, is becoming worse. Nothing is happening. They've torn almost all the ballot papers that they were about counting.
Christopher, I didn't catch it, but who is doing the tearing?
Yes, so everybody was just tearing. The people pounced on the EC officials there, and they were tearing the ballot papers that they were about counting.
I see. Where were the security officials while this was going on?
Okay, so the security officials that were inside the counting center did not take notice of what was happening because they went to plead with the supporters to calm down. Unfortunately, the supporters pounced on them and entered the center where the counting was taking place, and they overpowered the security. As we speak, more police officials have been called to come to the counting center because as it stands now, nothing is happening. Ballot papers, most of them have been snatched and torn into pieces.
I see. This is your election command center. You're seeing exclusive pictures from Yendi when the crowd there, delegates we are hearing, decided to tear the ballot papers into pieces. You recall that Yendi is one of those places where the elections wrapped up successfully and early. Hopefully that an announcement would have been made post-counting. But here are delegates boldly in the faces of our cameras tearing ballot papers in that constituency. But Christopher Mwako has been giving us the details. Listen, Christopher, I see the delegates. They're really angry. What are they angry about? Why? What is the motivation for tearing these papers?
Yes, so they believe that Farouk Aliu Mahama, the incumbent member of parliament, has some deals with the regional executives, and they are helping him to win this primary. So the Abibata team indicated earlier that they are very vigilant today, and they are not going to allow that to happen. And it does appear that the regional executives earlier before the elections were rooting for Farouk Aliu Mahama to win. So realizing that they were scheming all means possible to get him win this primary, they also decided to confront anyone who decides to behave in a fishy manner. And as we speak, that's what we are seeing. They realizing that some ballot papers have been sneaked into the counting center, resisted, and they just when they just get hold of any ballot paper, they tear it into pieces.
I see, Christopher. My guess is no evidence of that has also been shown to the media.
Yeah. So as at now, the media, we were just told that they sneaked some ballot papers into the counting arena, and so that's accounted for the getting hold of the ballot papers and tearing them.
Have we heard from the contenders on the conduct of the delegates yet?
They haven't spoken, and they are not even around where the incident happened. It is their supporters, the security, and the EC officials. Now, as we speak, the security have been able to move the EC officials to a safer place, and for this confusion all to be over, then we know exactly what the situation is, whether or not ballot papers were sneaked into the counting arena, and if so, do they have stamps? And so when the confusion, the situation calms down, we'll be able to tell what exactly has been happening.
And you say no arrests have been made yet?
Yes, as of now, no arrests have been made. The security is trying to ensure that sanity prevails in the arena.
Would you say sanity has prevailed?
For now, no.
So what's happening now if sanity hasn't prevailed? Paint us a picture of what's going on.
Everybody is just making noise, attacking each other, pushing each other, using abusive words on one another. That is exactly what is happening now.
I see. But we take it as all the delegates in that area were able to cast their vote successfully?
Yes, voting ended around 12 midday because they had started earlier, and all the delegates came to Yendi community to sleep. So they did not wait for any delegate to come from somewhere. So they started and they ended the voting earlier and waited till the 2 p.m. hour clock to be able to begin the sorting and counting. And so as we speak, every delegate has voted. But when the voting was over, all the delegates were asked to leave the place. But once counting was due, they all came back to the Yendi Senior High School where the election took place.
I see, Christopher. Keep safe, and keep an eye on events in Yendi. Thank you so much for the reporting. Christopher Mwakom joined us with report from Yendi, where delegates have chosen mayhem and torn into pieces ballot papers there over rigging allegations. I'll come back to my guest in the studio and pick your thoughts on what's happening in Yendi. I told you earlier we are entering crucial hour of the elections, and as you can see in Yendi, tempers are really high, and we're seeing it in the people's actions. Prof.
Yeah, these are news reports we didn't want to hear, but I mean, it has happened. Whoever blew an alarm or whatever might have happened to warrant this response and mar the entire beauty, perhaps the party and the police will have to investigate and report back to the state. All of us are interested, not necessarily in the particular one, but so lessons are learned for future. If it was a false alarm, the person who did it have still disturbed the beauty and the peace that characterized the elections. If it was true, then whoever tried to perhaps sneak in those papers too would have to face the full rigors of the law. So we need further information on that. But unfortunately, it has been mad.
I see. Yeah. But the party has rules regarding things like this. Right. If you have any kind of dispute concerning the election, there are avenues to go through.
Yes, that's why it's sad that for a constituency that completed elections way ahead of the national timeline, completed their election around midday, by now the results should have filtered through. And in fact, there's a reason why there's a grievance process. If you feel aggrieved, present your grievances to the national officers or the regional officers who are there. Interestingly, in this election, regional officers do not have votes, unlike in the flag bearer race. So they are there as fair arbiters to be able to respond to the concerns that may arise from the voting and these issues. Now, if the voting is disrupted so much so that sorting and counting cannot be done, what happens? There will have to be a rerun. Candidates will have to push in another level of, they'll have to pull in resources again. Mm-hmm. The party will have to spend money. Is that what they want?
That's a great question, but I do want to say that we have more provisional results streaming in. In Bekwai, COP Alex Mensah has lost the parliamentary bid, and it begs the question: what's happening to Jose Usu at the moment? Yeah. We spoke with him earlier on this. We asked him.
Imagine it's not even close.
Did you see that coming?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I mean, I trust Musa Danquest's polling if Global Info Analytics does some work in a constituency, and then, I mean, with the track record he's building so far, you tend to do that. So when that poll came out, I sort of tested. Sometimes, you see, when you do a poll, you have the qualitative and then the quantitative. So I saw the quantitative, decided to test the qualitative reasons behind what may be happening in Bekwai. And his reasons sounded, I mean, very plausible to me, that Ralph has been nurturing that ambition to contest in that constituency for a very long time. In fact, he wanted to contest Joe Usu the other time, but as a leader of the House, Joe Usu was protected. Yeah. Right? Now, Joe Usu...
Let's head to Zoom now. Let's head to Zoom now. Because William Evans Inkum is going to give us on-the-ground updates from Bantama and Bekwai. William, let's start with Bekwai, since we are already talking about that. COP Alex Mensah lost by, what is the margin?
Closer. As far as the margin between the two of them is concerned, I will give that one to you pretty soon. But it was always going to be lawyer Ralph Poku Adusei's win in the lead up to this particular exercise. As Duke said, this was a man who has done a lot as far as the Bekwai constituency was concerned. So it wasn't a surprise thing to hear that people do say as won. But another shock is also coming from the Dublin constituency, where the incumbent member of parliament has also lost. We'll give you the figures pretty soon. And of course, Sticker has also been able to retain his seats. Bantama constituency, which was always high on the bill, the news is that Asanso Boate has been able to retain the seat, and he is the first member of parliament to do that since the days of Cecilia Abinadapa. Remember, 2012, Henry Kokufu took over from Cecilia Abinadapa, but he was a one-term MP. The late Ochima Boagi came, a one-term MP. Asanso Boate came, and he has been able to retain the seat. If you go to Inshiaso constituency, by virtue of the fact that Stephen Adwoa has also been able to retain the seat, means that he also becomes the first member of parliament since the days of Richard Anane to have done so. We are still waiting for results from the Kwadaso constituency. If Professor Kesenyako is able to retain the seat, then the triangle has been broken. I mean, the myth of the triangle has been broken. That is to say, Kwadaso, Bantama, and Shiaiso for the first time will have MPs in about 8 years or 12 years who have been able to retain their seats. So that is the news here from the Ashanti region for now.
William, thank you very much for those results. I'll go over the results that William has given us in shares. So Dr. Stephen Adwoa has retained his candidature for the NPP. He's the one Evans refers to as Sticker. And he beats Kennedy can come to that. We also go to Bantama, where Francis Asenso Boakye has retained his candidature for the NPP, beating Ralph Ejapon, which begs the question, will Kennedy Ejapon, who is brother of Ralph Ejapon, release any secrets now? You're ready for the we are ready for the secrets now, aren't we? Absolutely. Then we go to Bekwai, where Ralph Pokwedu wins over COP George Alex Mensah. That is a context we were discussing earlier. But what do you think didn't work for COP, Alex Mensah?
As I said.
Oh, no, I was asking Prof.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to let me complete the point. That's fine.
You see, the lesson going forward is that if you really want to do local level politics, get involved. Get rooted in the local election, the local activities, political activities. You don't stay too far away from the constituency and then come in. People, like you said, Ralph had built a solid grassroots foundation that it was going to always be difficult for COP coming into the picture.
Not to cut you, but COP was his advantage. He's a policeman. So he cannot be engaged in active politics.
Underground. Underground.
And you know, I have spoken with him about, you know, this bid in the heat of the committee hearing in Parliament. And he said he had always been on the ground with the party. And I asked him the same question, whether or not a policeman could, you know, openly engage in politics. And well, he said he never openly engaged. But those who know. It would seem that people didn't know, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and that's what has happened to him. Now that, and I also don't know how well Ralph used that information. We knew it was in the running. I mean, Ralph put in it as a lawyer. He would know that if that report from the Matachia committee is released, and there are any adverse findings against COP, and COP does not do anything to set it aside, it disqualifies him from running as a member of parliament. We're told that issue, matter had been properly packaged into election propaganda and was running around in Bekwai. We don't know how much of a role that played as well. But Ralph is a formidable candidate. Indeed. He wanted to contest even the first deputy speaker, which makes sense then that the first deputy speaker threw his weight behind COP. But now that he has won the seat, what will happen? Can Ralph lap up to the first deputy speaker?
Yeah.
What will happen to party unity in that constituency?
Question.
And Bekwai is very volatile. Joe Osei himself came to parliament because he was denied that seat. He was then the constituency chairman. He mentioned it. When they did not allow, when they wanted to protect the incumbent then, he decided that he would run independent. He ran independent and he won the seat. So people forget that Adwoa Safo's first term in Parliament, he was an independent candidate. He was an independent MP. He was not an NPP MP. It was in 2012 that he safely transited from being an independent MP to become an NPP MP. 2008, he was one of the renegade independent candidates that caused the loss of MPP in the general election. So, Bekwai has that history. Let's see how the party will unite after this. But for me, COP, I hope, I pray that he gets out of this safely, especially with the pending issues in Parliament. Maybe he can go back now without having the police cloak around him, do real politics, realpolitik,
and come again.
Yes, and then come back
again, and come again.
contest.
One of the areas that we have results coming in also is Ifia, where the incumbent MP Joseph Kujo has lost to lawyer Yawama. Now we'll give you the details of that, but let's hit social media now. Nashoko has been asking young people on the internet questions.
Yes, exactly, Kemeni. While we have asked, while on air, we brought a very comprehensive coverage of the elections. Online, young people have been talking. And so I went on just before I came on air today to ask young people the things that have stood out for them during today's elections. We know there have been some interesting developments, and there have been some pockets of confusion as well. So what are young people interested in today? The question was, going on TV3 now to do a social media review on the elections so far. Which points would you like me to touch on? Now, I'll just take about 5 of them. So Perez Ewenam says, the vote buying saga, which is always treated as a lorry fare. This is something that we've heard over and over today. There have been some delegates who have openly said that they were expecting certain amounts of money, between 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 cedis, some expecting television sets, sewing machines, and so on. And we've heard some of the aspirants say that these monies they give to the delegates are just supposed to be lorry fare. And that's what Perez Ewenam is talking about. Dr. Psycho says, that's Bantama Wale Wale, Tano North, Dom Kwabenya, key interest pa, all the best. Now, Big Bex says, Domi Kwabenya, if these delegates vote for Adwoa Safo again, then we are not serious as a country. And I believe we all know the trouble with Adwoa Safo and her constituency. She was away for about 2 years. Her party needed her at a very critical point. She was not there for the party. She came back, had an explanation, went round to apologize, did a video to tell us why she was away, citing some maternal challenges. She's apologized and she's running again. This morning we heard that she served some very delicious breakfast to the delegates and so on. When she arrived, we saw the reaction of her constituents. She's running against Mike Okwe and one Sheila, who we have recently got to know about in today's elections. Now, Big Bex says that if she wins, then we're not serious as a country. G. Dula Churchill says, vote buying, has it been normalized? And again, this is one of the messages that received a lot of attention today on social media. This topic, actually, vote buying, because we've had delegates talk about the expectations. We've had aspirants talk about the fact that they're just giving lorry fare. And the problem now is the confidence with which delegates and aspirants talk about these monies. Some time ago, it was something that we thought happened behind the scenes, but now it's topical. They do it very confidently. There are videos of branded television sets and so on that are going around. And this is something that young people are interested in. So vote buying, has it been normalized? It's a very important question. Kwabna Chelsea says, please read my tweet. We're doing that. I am telling you, Adwoa Safo is winning hands down. Bra Mike should please move to Ayawa so West Wogon. It will be there. It'll be there presect day. It'll be there them know I'm for. Dem Kwabenya isn't an inheritance seat. All right, so this is Kwabna Chelsea, one of the fans, I believe, of Adwoa Safo. All right, General Marcos says, under normal circumstances, he should be fired as a minister, arrested and prosecuted according to the law. But we are under abnormal circumstances, supervised by Jack Toronto and his younger brother. All right, I believe this is about Katie Hammond and the little performance he showed us when he was upset about some alleged muscled men who showed up on behalf of his opponent
Indeed.
to manhandle his delegates. So these are a few messages coming in on social media on what young people are expecting. As we go and as the provisional results trickle in, I'll bring you some reactions of people on X. So if you're watching us online and you'd like us to read your messages, please go online and tweet at us at TV3 Ghana. I'll be happy to read your tweets live. Kemeni.
Thank you, now, for sharing those with us and asking that really important question to the young people on Twitter. Oh, now X. I always say Twitter.
X.
Yes, X now. But remember that the results are trickling in. There are 137 of them. We've only had about 7. Many more results coming in. Let's take you to Ablekuma West now. And that is the constituency for the communications minister and the incumbent MP. We're hearing that she will be standing for the NPP in the 2024 elections again. Let's take a listen to Adwoa Safo when that announcement was made that she's won. Unfortunately, we had very bad audio on that, but what we know is that Adwoa Safo Ekufu, Communications Minister and incumbent MP for Ablekuma West, has retained her candidature in that constituency. She will be in the elections in the 2024 general elections. But let's take you to Dom Kwabenya, a constituency that is trending on X at the moment. Our correspondent, Mawena Egbeta, is reporting that there is some confusion there. Let's understand why. Mawena, what's happening?
And so in your shot right now, sorting currently ongoing at the Dom Kwabenya constituency. Voting went past 2 p.m. But even before the sorting could start, we know that the chair of the NPP, Stephen and team, has been around in the last few minutes in the lead up to voting ending. And so he was around, was trying or wanting to be a part of the entire exercise as it ends. And there was a difficulty in being able to get access to the inner perimeter. He, along with the elections committee in the constituency, were trying to make their way into the area initially, but the police commander here insisted that he needed persons who were designated or accredited to be able to gain access into the inner perimeter. It was through that conversation and through that consultation that where sorting is happening right now, Michael Quay Jr. approached the police commander or the man in charge here and was seeking to make the argument that he would have preferred for counting to be moved to the basketball court there because it will be a lot more secure in terms of how the place is looking like. And in your shot, you can see quite a number of police officials here in FPU regalia and the likes. And so that was the argument he made, but the police officer told him that that was not possible because the ballot papers had been opened already, and asking anybody to push ballot papers back into the boxes to move them onto the basketball court was going to be a difficulty. After the back and forth, the police commander allowed for the national chair and the elections committee in the Dom Kwabenya constituency into the inner perimeter. And so for now, everybody is waiting with eagerness, anxiety as to what the numbers is going to tell, what the choice of the delegates is going to be. That sorting process is still ongoing. It's not done yet for counting to begin, but that's the current situation. An initial hold-up in terms of the sorting even starting, but that has been dealt with and the sorting process has started, awaiting counting as well.
I see. And so we should expect results to be announced soon, Mawena?
Absolutely. With the sorting almost done, counting can begin, and then we can begin to get a fair sense of exactly what it is that this constituency is going to look like. But even before that, the different parties have been singing and chanting, anticipating victory. Started by the Michael Kweti when he started using his hands to signify that change was coming. The supporters of Sarah Adwoa Safo also began to chant their own song that he was going to lose again, he was going to lose again. And so that's been the back and forth in terms of the support base. Before the voting ended, then they moved to the barricaded area, which is in your shot right now, for sorting to begin. Now, they are all here in their numbers waiting for the counts to begin, and then depends on how it goes, everybody will see their smoothness level as it's commonly said.
The smoothness level indeed. But what is the general feeling among delegates outside of this confusion?
Well, it's been mixed in all honesty. When we touched base here as at 7 a.m. this morning, general consensus on the ground suggested that a lot more people were leaning towards Michael Kweti Jr. We know there's been a background to this. There's been general conversations in terms of persons that we spoke to when we got here. There's a global info analytics poll as well, which pointed to a likely change in this constituency as well. And so that's what it's looked like. But in the later afternoons, we began to see a lot more of Sarah Adwoa Safo's supporters come out strongly and openly seek to paint the picture that they still back her, they still support her. And so they believe that she needs to be given the nod again to represent the Dom Kwabenya constituency. And so that's been the mix. And interestingly, I must mention that when we arrived here on the ground, so which I was telling you about, it looked a bit unfavorable to say you were supporting Sarah Adwoa Safo. And so quite a number of people I saw initially had not openly stated their support. But after Michael Kweti Jr. came through and with the chant and all of that, a number of people walked close to me because we came through live initially to report on the situation. And they walked up to me and asked that the way he came through was not respectful to the incumbent MP, and that they still believe that the incumbent MP, despite all of the challenges, is still the best person to lead the constituency.
So the best part of that is we will know the actual smoothness level when counting ends, and we'll check in with you again. Thank you so much for the reporting. Mawena Egbeta joined us from Dom Kwabenya, where an earlier confusion disrupted sorting and counting. He says everything is now okay, and counting will begin soon. But I want to take you to Ayawaso Central, where Henry Kwoti is the incumbent, and we understand that he has retained his candidature. Let's speak to our correspondent there. Tell us what's happening. Well, as you may well know, we brought you that video of Sheikh Isekwe, a prominent member of the NPP, who said Henry Kwoti did not deserve that constituency anymore because he had a lack of respect for people there. But what we are learning now, post the election, is that Henry Kwoti has retained his candidature in Ayawaso Central. What that means for his followers. Well, let's take a listen to our correspondent from the ground.
Over 920 delegates today cast their ballots to elect one of either the regional minister Henry Kwoti and a former NPP party executive Moses Adwoa. At the end of the voting process, I should tell you that 924 ballots were cast according to the electoral officials, but the valid votes were 920 valid votes. Out of that, the contender Moses Adwoa polled 326 votes, and he was beaten by the regional minister Henry Kwoti, who polled about 594 votes here in the Ayawaso Central constituency. So, if you like, you could say that all is said and done, but we're still waiting official declaration from the Electoral Commission officials. Counting has been done, and the result is yet to be declared. Just as the counting was ongoing, and one of the candidates got the number that he got, I'm talking about Moses Adwoa, who was the first. He was the first to have his ballots counted. After he polled 326 votes, you could see the regional minister Henry Kwoti, who was seated under a shed with some of his supporters leaping in joy, calculatively saying that if my contender has polled 326 votes, then I should be in a very comfortable majority. So the regional minister Mr. Henry Quartey. He has been excited, he has been calm, the process has also been calm, but he has been very excited at the outcome of the event. He predicted victory himself, and he got what he desired, although he did not state exactly what numbers he wants. He won the elections. The Electoral Commission is about to declare the results, and I'll take you there right now.
Let's get to some of them. And so they can come in.
The returning of family. What I say?
Electoral officials there to announce Henry Quartey as the winner of the race in that constituency. As our correspondent reported earlier, Henry is already jubilating with his supporters because clearly he is in the lead as far as the provisional results are concerned. What we were expecting to hear from the man with the big sheet over there is the original declaration, the official declaration that Henry Quartey would run in the 2024 general elections on the ticket of the NPP in Adwoa Safo Central constituency. You recall that Henry is the incumbent member of parliament in that area. Earlier, we brought you Sheikh Isikwe's soundbite where he hoped that Henry Quartey would not win that seat. It would appear that it has been completely dashed into tatters. Henry Quartey retains that seat, retains the candidacy of that area for the NPP into the 2024 general elections. Before we get into the declaration, as they prepare to declare the official results, let's take a listen to Henry Quartey as he spoke with your election command center.
What message do you have for all the delegates?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the good Lord Almighty for making this day possible for us. I want to thank the NPP party from the national, region, constituency. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to former members of parliament, former members of parliament, CEOs, presiding members, assembly members, metropolitan, municipal, district chief executives, all and sundry who took it upon themselves.
End of the day, 924 delegates voted, representing 94.86%. 94.86%. Now, out of the 924 votes cast, 4 rejected ballots, and we have 920 valid votes. And this is the outcome of the 920 valid votes. Candidate number 1, Henry Quartey, polled 594 votes, representing 64.56% of the valid vote. Candidate number 2, Moses Adwoa, polled 326 votes, representing 35.44%. Out of this outcome, on behalf of the Electoral Commission, to declare Henry Quartey the candidate-elect for 2024 NPP primary for Ayawaso Central constituency. So, Honorable Henry Kwate is
It's done and sealed for Henry Kwate in Ayawaso Central. EC officials there have officially declared him winner of the Ayawaso Central contest. He beats Moses Sabo 594 votes of the valid vote cast out of the 920. But let's take a look at Henry Kwate as he jubilated and celebrated his win.
Let's get to some of them.
An elated Henry Kwate, and you can understand why the delegates there have endorsed his candidacy for the 2024 elections. 64.56% of the valid vote cast went to Henry Kwate. That is about 594 out of 920. His closest contender, Moses Sabo, was able to garner 326. It is clear that the endorsement for the area was fully for Henry Kwate. And look at him there jubilate. Ayawaso Central is done, sealed, delivered for Henry Kwate. Well, from Ayawaso Central, let's head and join our correspondent, Evelyn Tingman, who is on the ground. Remember that this is your election command center. Lots of the results are streaming in now, 137 constituencies in all. Evelyn Tingma is joining us from Ablekuma West. Remember, we told you earlier that provisionally the incumbent, Adwoa Safo, will retain her candidacy. Let's find out what the official declaration is. Evelyn, what can you report?
Yeah, so, Kameni, as we speak, voting has ended here, counting and everything is done. Adwoa Safo has just left, and Ronnie Nicole has also left. And so, out of a total of 1,108 delegates expected to vote there today in today's exercise, 1,178 cast their ballot today. And out of that, Adwoa Safo had 817 votes, and Ronnie Nicole had 241 votes. And so, even when the voting was ongoing, and after Madam Ekufu had 817 votes, Ronnie Nicole decided to leave the premises, and then he went away. And Adwoa Safo was here after the declaration, and she spoke to the media, and she indicated that right now the hurdle ahead of her is to win the main election in December for the NPP.
I see. I also see behind you. I also see, we'll take a listen to Esla in a bit, but I also see behind you that, the place is almost empty. What's going on there?
Yes, because voting has ended, counting has ended, the declaration has been done.
Well, where are those people to jubilate? No one is jubilating in Ablekuma West?
Well, they have all finished jubilating and they have left because the two candidates here have all left. And so the people have finished, even as the counting was ongoing.
The jubilation left with them.
Started, yes.
Thank you so much for the reporting. Most importantly, Adwoa Safo won by more than 800 votes in Ablekuma West, and her candidacy. She has another shot, essentially, at Parliament in the 2024 general elections. I want to take you elsewhere, but just a quick reminder of the sealed and delivered constituencies. Ayawaso Central, Henry Kwate, 590 votes cast. went to him, endorsing him for Ablekuma West as far as the NPP's parliamentary candidate for 2024 election is concerned. We just left Ablekuma West, where Eslowusu Ekufo got similar endorsement, more than 800 plus votes coming to her, endorsing her candidacy as the incumbent MP for the area. We'll see her again in the general election. She has a real shot for parliament. We want to tell you also that we are live on 3FM here at Adisawe as well. But this is TV3. I am Kemeni Amano. Your election command center is what you're watching and listening to wherever you are. We're also live across our socials on X and on Facebook. I want to take you to Esikado Ketang, where Charles Bisiu is running against Pakojo Peters. Well, I beg your pardon. I'll take that again. Now, Charles Bisiu is running against Giovanni Nana Osei Tutu Ajiman. But what we hear is that Charles Bisiu is likely to be the next parliamentary candidate for the NPP in that area. Let's take a listen to Pakojo Peters on what he has for us. What can you share with us as far as this is concerned? What are the details?
Yeah, voting the Skadikatan constituency ended a few minutes ago, and the former Western Regional Secretary for the NPP, who was also the former secretary for the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Benabengin Onia Wonto Bisu, has won the elections with 333 votes. His closest contender was the deputy director for the National Lottery, Homa Akesi Niza. Homa got 233 votes, while the other candidate, Giovanni Nana Osei Tutu Ajiman, also had 199 votes. So Mr. Charles Bisu is now the NPP's representative for the Eskado-Katan constituency. He is replacing the incumbent member of parliament, Joe Gate. We spoke to him a few minutes ago, and he has assured that he's going to speak to all his contenders and ensure that they come together so that they work towards ensuring they break the eight in the Eskado-Katan constituency. So everything is over here at the Eskado-Katan constituency, where Charles Bisu has won the elections with 333 votes.
I see. Let's take a listen to Charles, and then I'll come back, Pakojo, and ask you about delegates' feelings right now.
First of all, I thank God for what has happened. I thank my family and then my friends. I'd say that I'm very elated I've won this elections.
What do you think worked the magic for you?
It's hard work, my experience, and then consistency with the delegates. I've always said that the delegates are deciding that we're all human beings. When you're consistent with them, they realize.
Charles Bisiu there, he wins the PC race, internal race of the NPP in Esikado Ketang, most likely given a shot in the race itself in December 2024. But let's join Pakojo Peters again. Pakojo, we were talking to you earlier about how people are feeling over there. What are the delegates telling you?
The delegates are really, really happy, especially the supporters of Charles Benabengin Onia Wonto Bisu. Throughout today's election, a lot of things happened here in the constituency. There were rumors that Charles Bisu have migrated from another constituency to this very constituency. So most of the people were like he wasn't going to win. So his winning has really been a surprise to many. But so as a result of that, the delegates are really, really happy. As I speak to you now, war jubilations are ongoing here in the constituency amid brass band, music, and most of the supporters have really even rushed to his residence at Kodiokrom. So as I speak to you now, the delegates as well as those who are the supporters of Charles Benabengin Onia Wonto Bisu are very, very happy. They are in high spirits as I speak to you now.
Pakojo, thank you very much for the reporting. Your election command center is not only live on TV, we're also live on radio 92.73 FM. And you can tune in if you're unable to join us on television. We are also live across all our socials, Facebook and X. But I'll go over it again. the sealed and delivered and sealed constituencies. Adwoa Safo Central, Henry Quarter is the parliamentary candidate for the NPP. We also have Ablekuma West, Esla Usu Ekufo, the incumbent, is the parliamentary candidate for the NPP going into the 2024 elections. And then there is Esikado Ketang, where Charles Bisil will take over from Joe Gate as the parliamentary candidate for the NPP going into the 2024 general elections. Remember that Joe Gate did not run in this election. It was against Giovanni Nanase Tutu Ajima, and Charles Bisu emerged winner. We've also brought you some other results from across the Ashanti region. Katie Hammond retaining his candidature in Adanse Asokwa. Stephen Amwa retaining his candidacy in Inshaeso. We also brought you that from Bekwai, where we told you that COP Alex Mensah could not get that parliamentary bid. It rather went to Ralph Pokwe-Dusay. And then in Bantama, which has made news today also, Ralph Kennedy lost miserably to Francis Asenso-Boakye. And so Francis Asenso-Boakye retains his seat. We are yet to know whether or not those secrets will come. This is your election command center. I am Kemini Amano. We are live on TV3. We are also live on 3FM 92.7. I'll be right back.
Mothers of Africa. Mama, will I ever be a soccer champion for Ghana? Well, you've got to be like a geisha bar. Staying strong and going so far. Never give up till you reach your goal. Okay, Mama, I'll be strong and go so far. Lasting long like this geisha bar. Be strong and last long like geisha.
Get ready for an exciting escape. An 8-day all-inclusive Easter getaway for you and your family from March 28th to April 4th, 2024 on board the MSC Splendida cruise ship. Visit stunning destinations in South Africa and Namibia filled with discovery, relaxation, and culture. This all-inclusive package includes full board cabin accommodation with breakfast, lunch and dinner, all drinks and entertainment on board, Cape Town City Tour, one-night pre- and post-cruise hotel accommodation in Cape Town, all transfers, travel insurance and return flights. Call your cruise people now on 030-825-1055 to secure your cabin with only 6,000 Ghana cedis and pay the rest later. Life is better at sea. Experience it.
A few years ago, as women, society told us who we should be, what we should do, and how we should look.
You are not wearing your makeup today. How are you going to get your husband?
It makes me feel brave.
I choose beauty because beauty is Tara and Tara is me.
Mothers of Africa. Mama, will I ever be a soccer champion for Ghana? Well, you've got to be like a geisha bar. Staying strong and going so far. Never give up till you reach your goal. Okay, Mama, I'll be strong and go so far. Lasting long like this geisha bar. Be strong and last long like geisha.
This year, we know come to play.
Hello. He saw you.
Bitches, what are you trying to do?
He saw you.
Giovanni just asked us question. That's what do men want in relationship? You were like,
I think men want their woman to be honest with them.
But you didn't say us, right? This is now you can't turn your body for someone. I beg shit.
Erica, If I were you, I'll go home. Because the way he switched from you when Beatrice walked in, oh, try for my sister Erica.
Date Rush shows every Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it. Date Rush is sponsored by Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil and Napa Foods.
Feel Moisturizer.
Adwoa Safo,
Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection, Geisha Moringa, and Geisha Black Soap.
Remy Spices.
Mac Brown's Kitchen. Mac Brown's Kitchen.
I'm ready to send me to Mac Brown's Kitchen. New season, new stations. Hey, Mac Brown's Kitchen. Nana, who want TV so I check? I knew who you check, but the Yami and Chakrano. But TV3. Mimi Devia. 5 to 6 p.m. Nana, you better watch it. Me need to clean my better Sisako, Ghana Fodo. Hey, that's it.
McBrown's Kitchen shows this and every Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Herbal Akuma Onion Paste.
Show no, aye manya to say so manya, and aye chaka to say chakademos. Utoka bi belonche and
delay. Nani nyaya for fame. No.
Seriously? Ebi sing no cre because almost all brofo nye prempe brofo.
Brofo this cabana meka. Anya brofo hu bia sa na meka.
It's all called public restroom who used to male and female
ladies.
And don't you think yes I will violate Emma because you have a male sex organ but you are using the ladies?
Oh, tell me the empowerment.
What a word you know wo a putoy and you need delay wo a putoy. Asasemuni.
The Delay Show now shows on Sundays at 6 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Vodafone, Safari Tissues, Pepsodent, Yas Sanitary Pad, Delay Foods, Tabia Takum, Greatfield Ventures, Alisa Hotel.
Welcome back. This is your Election Command Center, the coverage of NPP Decides, and we're looking at the results coming in thick and fast, trickling in as we speak here on your Election Command Center in the 102 constituencies that we've been monitoring so far. And as we have told you, how things have played out, a number of the incumbents have already lost their seat and their bid to represent the NPP in the 2024 elections as members of parliament, the various constituencies. My name is Alfred Kanse. Welcome. I'm taking over from my colleague Kemini Amano, and together with the team here on your Election Command Center, we bring you everything that you need to know as the counting has ended in some of the places and then also ongoing in some other constituencies as well. Let me welcome Dr. Asa Asante. He's a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Legon Political Science Department. Dr. Asa Asante, it's good to have you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Alfred.
Still with us here is Professor Smart Sapong. He is a political analyst, also with the Kumasi Technical University. Still with us in here on your Election Command Center and smartly doing what he does best. Professor Smart Sapong, as always, it's good to have you. Let's go straight to the Dom Kabenya constituency, because that's one of the constituencies that we tipped to watch here on your Election Command Center because of the kind of activity and the conversation ahead of today between Michael Koyi Jr. and Sarah Adwoa Safo, the incumbent. These were the two, even though there were others who were contesting, that were looking out for what was going to be happening in the Dom Kabenya constituency. As we reported earlier, there was some misunderstanding that has been addressed now. And as you see on the screen right now, the sorting and counting is ongoing. And a man, Eric Mawena Egbeta, is on the ground monitoring every step of the way what is happening in the Dom Kabenya constituency here on your Election Command Center. We connect with Mawena Egbeta right now to just give us an idea of what's going on there in the Dom Kwabenya constituency here on your election command center. But it's been a hotbed of a lot of political activity over the period and ahead of today. And what we have seen earlier today with Sarah Adwoa Safo, the incumbent member of parliament, going to serve hot breakfast to the delegates in the Dom Kwabenya constituency. And we'll see whether the breakfast would influence or as it were, work to her favor or get the delegates to smile at her going into this particular election. But because of the events preceding today, a lot of people, political analysts and pollsters, had indicated that it was going to be a tough call to have the Dom Kwabenya constituency retain her. Well, let's cross over now. Eric Mawana is there. Mawana, tell us what's going on in the Dom Kwabenya constituency as we speak.
Counting is still ongoing in the second polling station at this particular time. It's been a long drawn process all throughout the morning. Voting started about 7:15 a.m. and it's continued all through until this point. It's the final leg of a constituency that literally everybody is keeping an eye on at this particular point in time. It is the hottest race in the Greater Accra region, and what many have touted as a two-horse race between the incumbent Sarah Adwoa Safo and third-time candidate Mike Okoye Jr. They faced off twice already. Sarah Adwoa Safo doing the double over Mike Okoye Jr. But will he be third time lucky is the question that many have been asking, is the question that delegates have been seeking to provide answers to for the rest of the country. But we're yet to get answers because the counting is still ongoing. There's been one part of the counting done at one polling station, but we will not be given the results because the security officials are trying to, as much as possible, police everything that is happening here at this particular point in time. But the supporters of the various candidates have entered jubilant mood. A short while ago, the supporters of Mike Okoye Jr. were chanting Abemwewe, Abemwewe, seeking to indicate that change is here and that their candidate has won. Initially, like we reported some minutes ago, it was a battle of songs really as to who best could chant louder when voting was grinding to a halt. At this particular point in time, the supporters of Sarah Adwoa Safo are quiet a bit. They are not singing so loudly as we heard them sing a while ago. But for the supporters of Mike Okoye Jr., they are confident in the fact that when sorting was done and they saw the ballot papers there, it gives them confidence that when this is all said and done, they will emerge victorious. But we're still waiting to get a fair sense as to exactly what it is that transpires here at the Dom Kwabenya constituency. And we're going to try and begin to get some of these delegates and find out from them as to exactly what it is that they make of the entire process all throughout. It started, as I mentioned, 7:15 a.m., but let's try and get some of these delegates and speak to some supporters of Mike Okoye Jr. who believe that all things being equal, they should emerge victorious. Bossman, yes, come talk to me. You support Mike Okoye Jr. Yes. You're confident that he's going to win. What's giving you this confidence?
That's my grievance is with my opinion.
That's your opinion.
Sir,
yes.
Yenim say Okoye no wako first, second. That's the third. Adwoa so ako 1, 2, 3, fourth. Fourth na European. Adwoa and train Obuo one for Buaman 1. It's year 1, Yabo and Agenda. So Obi Besu Kacho Asema, a ye Nidie, now so Wajinatum.
Obepa Macho,
Obepa Macho, Shida, Bepa Macho, Shida de Watono, Minister, Shida de by another 2 years and 8 years and Shida will come. But Adwoa never come again. Making people don't understand me. One time I say by minimum. Adwoa Yaman 12 years. Show the respect. I'm a community no. Titu Piota. Your friend Dracranomra, Piota, and as a shoma. What am I say? Maybe talk at that. By Rose Nini, also number for 12 years, 12 executive years. Ye bibi.
Amujiri sa wanye bibinti na mo twat ene musimu sise.
Pure tenti ni yanga di yanga to. Pure tenti ni yanga to etian. Ashoma. Pure ta. Enti ni yanga to etian. Onye bibi. Yani adwa kasa omu yaen. Na uni bibi. Okwe na wabano. Ade bia. Ono so wa meto so ya. Ni yanga ya adwa no hwe. Ono okwe no so hwe.
Nti o bono koko ansana we rem kra.
Ya ka tenda. Me makaten nti me se okwenso nhwe so no so yes a kire yen the same thing e be na aju say wawie ba obawie no da fam.
Medase. So that's one delegate says from a strong man that declaration has not happened yet, but he knows that Sarah Adwoa Safo is going to lose, and they are sending a warning to who he believes is going to win, Michael Quay Jr., that he needs to watch and learn, because if they give him the mandate which he believes they are going to give him today, and he comes and repeats the same mistake, they will vote against him as well. But that's the sentiment at this particular point in time, as counting is continuing at the last polling station, and we're going to show you that right now as well, which is happening at this particular point in time. First part of counting at the first polling station done, second one almost rounding up really at this point in time. But like we've been telling you, it's been largely a two-horse race in a constituency where three individuals have been seeking to be the face of the governing New Patriotic Party in what is the last round of the party's reorganization towards elections 2024, an attempt to break the 8-year election cycle. And already they are throwing powder and the likes about. As you can see, these are supporters of Michael Quay Jr. who are throwing. Boss, Yankasa. Right, he says he's not ready. Boss, only Yankasa.
Masa, Adiana Nado and the Parliament, no Musro Sombayan. At the court to Sroso Becca. Domico Benya for any idea by ya can sample. So at yes, yes, omun to me Pamona idea, Yabe Pamona. Fair. And a Pamona, so a Pamona gentle, so baby ought to know on trust comfortably. Say, no, baby, Yako. So about TikTok, a real TikTok news, baba. It's your chain. You can't only declare. So far as Omunian declare, you're comfortable lead.
Comfortable lead?
Yes.
Yes, you're a patch.
Obey a pamacho. That's all the chop and over pano and all resources in Wenyan. So what you say? So a patch, a chow no be pie and a whole resource near the Amano. Uncle, I'm a patch of credit and Kabia Minyasha to Krubina. And here be a chow pan or bepine and Crophobia who mobo and no mat to be a man. By yesterday, Domico Benya for the Yempenim Guassier constituency, a constituency, the biggest constituency in Ghana. What you say? And a sign NPP stronghold. You get almost 172,000 votes. So what you say? And so take this constituency, bigger constituency like this for granted that Yanshia no nini and on delegates in Akasan.
And so that's another delegate really seeking to make the argument and make it quite strongly that they believe that Sarah Adwoa Safo has not served them well, and hence the decision to decide to vote against her. We're trying to get details of the numbers now from the two polling stations, because it appears that counting is all done, and so we can begin to get an understanding as to exactly what it is that's happened at this particular constituency. But from the loud cheer,
well, there you have it here on your election command center, as we've been showing you. So that's the activity happening in the Dom Kwabenya constituency. My colleague Eric Mamina Egbeta there. And there's jubilation in both camps. I'm talking about Sarah Adwoa Safo, the incumbent, and then also Michael Quay Jr., who is the main contender of Sarah Adwoa Safo. This is the third time he's coming at Sarah Adwoa Safo, attempting to wrestle that seat from her as a member of the candidate of the NPP to represent the party in the Dom Kwabenya constituency. And in fact, the NPP's dominance in that constituency is very well documented since that constituency was created prior to the 2004 elections. It was carved out of the then Abokobi Madina constituency prior to the 2004 elections. And we've seen over time the NPP's dominance in there after Professor Aaron Michael stepped down in 2012. And it's been Adwoa Safo all the way to date. And with the run-up to this moment, and I'll bring you in here, Professor Smart Sapong, because in 2020, Sarah Adwoa Safo won the primaries with 8 votes. 8 votes. And at the time, she was the deputy majority leader in the 7th Parliament. And also a minister of state at the time. So you would see a number of things playing to her advantage. But then now the things are different. She is not a leader in Parliament. She's not a minister. She's standing as a member of Parliament, I'm going to say, all alone. But let me maybe start off with you, Dr. Sasanti, on this. Also having studied the dynamics of this constituency right from when Adwoa Safo took over in 2012 to date and what is happening right now. Do you see the pendulum swinging to her favor, taking into consideration the background given from 2004 when this constituency was carved out of the Abokobi Madina constituency to date?
I'll be surprised if Adwoa retains the seat.
You'll be surprised?
Yes.
Why?
MPs represent the people. They represent first their interests, their opinions, and they serve as a link between the people and the government of the day. If you look at this role of an MP, that he plays a representation role, and that in there he represents the opinions of the people, their interests, and is a link between the people and the government of the day. You go to their constituency, organize DABA, get their opinions, and table it in Parliament for onward, tabling to government. So if you look at this, and you look at a few months ago, Adwoa, was he in any of this business? The answer is big no. So obviously, once you do this, you incur the wrath of the people, because then you don't represent their interest. All right? You don't represent their opinions. And you are not the link between the people and government. What is even more interesting is that if you are an MP, all right, you play a role that also favors your party in terms of voting. When they needed Adwoa's vote most, Adwoa were nowhere to be found. We only found her on, social media, boogie down, dancing, and the rest of them, to the annoyance of the political party. All right. All these things are things that are bottled up within the constituency, and they will manifest in terms of voting. Remember, if you go by, dance theory and all that, they tell you that voters vote based on rational choice theory, and that they vote based on things that they derive from their representatives. So if you are there to speak on their behalf in Parliament, you are there to represent their interests and opinion, and you are not there, obviously. When they need you most, you are not there. When the time comes, they will show you the exit. So all these things are going to weigh heavily against Adwoa. In addition to what you said, incumbency advantage and incumbency abuse. All the political, if you look at the political system throughout Ghana and then the political landscape, you realize that when somebody occupies an office, he takes advantage of the office. And that is what we describe in political science as incumbency abuse. All right. There are some, it comes in as incumbency advantage by, holding that position, things rob of you in terms of what advantages you gain from that. And all will also add up if you manage them well and translate into vote for you. that leg is cut off because he is not having any position and all that. All that he has is what? His credibility, the work he has done for constituency. Unfortunately, the last few months to the election, you realize that he has been a disappointment to not only the constituency, but the party per se. So obviously you see party, if they really want to get her out, and you saw how bitter they were when they were looking for Adwoa Safo's services, and then it was difficult to get. Obviously, if the party is bent on removing her, they will put a certain mechanism in place, and that will also get her out. But of course, champions die hard. If you see the way the counting is going on and all that, it tells you that in spite of all this, he has somewhat support base and the rest of them, and that is what is playing out. But at the end of the day, I know, nobody can convince me that Adwoa can take the seat.
Professor Sapong, I know you've been doing some work as well from the statistics perspective and from some research as well, and tracing at least the precedents over the period. With what happened in the run-up to the 2020 elections, that primaries, where there was a lot going for Sarah Adwoa Safo. In fact, it had to take Kennedy Japan to step in the last moment of the campaign, and then even on the voting day, to ramp up support for Adwoa Safo. And that's when she beat Michael Kwei Jr. with 8 votes. Do you see things playing out differently this time around? Because we don't have any news of Kenny Japan this time also showing up to as it were, help her in her campaign.
Well, Alfred, it's going to be a very difficult news to hear that Adwoa Safo had retained her seat.
It's going to be a difficult news.
Yeah. It's not likely to occur. It's an information that is unlikely to occur. Partly because even with members of parliament who try their best to represent their people very well to the best of their abilities, they're going for second and third time before their delegates. They end up reducing in terms of their performance from one election. So in the case of Adwoa Safo, the last time it was just a difference of 8. Meanwhile, before, it was quite a very good margin between himself and Michael Kwei Jr. But the next time, he had to take a lot of support, a lot of intervention from Ken and many other well-wishers for her to secure 8 points gap. If he had taken interest in what that meant, she would have represented her people better than what she did. Nobody says one cannot fall sick. Alfred, we all do fall sick. In fact, our elders say if you vow or swear, at least sickness or illness is excluded from whatever you vow or swear to. But when you apparently abuse the situation beyond a certain limit where your people can take, definitely you should expect that you will not go scot-free. And in this system, all you can do is to wait and demonstrate your love or otherwise for the person using your thumb. So the judgment is for the results that will soon be declared. If it comes out that Adwoa Safo loses her position, she should wholeheartedly admit it as a judgment on the way she led her people in the past 3 to 4 years.
How about if she wins? And you're saying that's going to be a very difficult news to take or unusual. Nothing is going to, or nothing is working in their favor, is going to work in their favor?
You see, human minds don't change too rapidly. Yeah, it keeps a certain position and it stands by it. That's why most of the research work that we do is usually confirmed. I do a baseline survey and I do an endline survey, and it is so likely that the final, getting to the last week, I have a lot of people consulting, and I had to do for them to understand their chances getting to the elections.
Right.
I submitted 19 reports to aspirants. Gladly, as I sit to check, almost all of them has been confirmed. The percentages that I assigned, for example, 173.6% is the actual. I assigned 72.4%. so close because the human mind, once it is made up, Alfred, not even the money they throw about
is going to make any difference.
Yeah. So let's see how it goes. If she eventually wins, what it means is that the people are forgiving her of all, and that she has been given another chance to go and sin no more. Largely, Dom Kwabenya people did not like what she did, and the judgment she's going to receive today would either mean go and sin no more, you've been pardoned, or please take full responsibility of the behavior or how you represented us. We didn't like it. Go take a rest and let maybe your own brother come and represent us maybe better than what you did. She's a politician and I know she's ready for any of the possible outcomes. The most likely outcome will be that she'll be shown the exit, unfortunately, based on what she herself should accept, that it was a bad representation of the people.
It says, go and sin no more or take responsibility for your actions.
Yes.
That's going to be the interpretation given to any of the results that's coming through. Now, Professor Smart Sapong has been with us for a while. Appreciate your time, really, and the analysis over the period. Professor Smart Sapong is a political analyst. It's also a researcher. It's with a senior lecturer at the Kumasi Technical University. It says associate professor at the Kumasi Technical University. Professor Smart Sapong, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's cross over to the Dom Kwabenya constituency. Maybe you want to stay and hear what is happening there because there's a development. What we've been waiting for all the while. Eric Mayonek is joining us from the Dom Kwabenya constituency, specifically the Atomic Basketball Park A. Now, Mayonek, do we have the news we've been waiting for now? Hello, Mayonek, unmute for me. Unmute. If you can unmute for me. Thank you. Eric Mayonek is joining us from the Dom Kwabenya constituency. We'll have a quick update from there. Mayonek, yes, you were saying.
So, Alfred, the news is that Michael Quay Jr., Ambassador Michael Quay Jr., is the NPP parliamentary candidate for the Dom Kwabenya constituency after counting was done here. In very ecstatic mood, his supporters hoisted him and they took him onto the streets in a parade of some sort. They are returning with him if we can turn and look that way as well. But let's just provide an understanding as to what the numbers are like based on what it is that is provisional results that we've got from the counting. And so Sarah Adwoa Safo, the incumbent member of parliament, managed to poll some 328 votes. And bear in mind that 1,841 plus delegates voted in this constituency. It is the biggest constituency in the country. And she managed to pull 328 votes. Sheila Opong, who is a new entrant into the race, managed 186 votes, with Mike Okoye Jr. polling 1,194 votes. And the margin in terms of victory is not 8, as was the case some 4 years ago when the contest was keen and very close, which had to take the intervention of now outgoing Asin Central MP Kennedy Japan to intervene on behalf of Sarah Adwoa Safo. This time round, nobody intervened, and it looks like the delegates have spoken. They've been telling us all throughout the morning, and particularly when it was looking the more and more that Michael Quay Jr. was going to win, was that they were tired. They had been embarrassed enough as a result of her actions over the last 4 years. One person told me that perhaps we'll hear the news on TikTok, seeming to say the incumbent that when she went AWOL some 2 years ago, when the governing New Patriotic Party needed numbers to be able to pull through bills, pull through taxes and the likes, she was not available, was on social media with videos and the likes, particularly on TikTok. Perhaps now she can go and get the results of this particular primary from TikTok. What it does indicate is that the message is emphatic, that they are tired of her actions and that they've decided to give 3-time attempted candidate Michael Quay Jr. the opportunity to represent the largest constituency in the country, that's Dom Kwabenya, on the ticket of the governing New Patriotic Party come elections 2024, Alfred. And so that's the big news The big news that everybody has been waiting for all throughout the day as to whether or not Sarah Adwoa Safo will be fourth-time lucky or whether it will be third-time lucky for Michael Quay Jr. It did appear that Michael Quay Jr. is third-time lucky and Sarah Adwoa Safo will today or has today seen her smoothness level, Alfred.
So the numbers, as you put it out there, Sarah Adwoa Safo, the incumbent member of parliament, 328 of the valid votes cast is what she polled.
Provisional numbers that we have with Michael Quay.
And Michael Quay with over 1,000.
Absolutely, over 1,000, and rough numbers will point you to that's well over 600 votes different in terms of what was supposed to be a keenly contested race. Initially, when the counting or the sorting was beginning, Sarah Adwoa Safo and her team moved to the left side with Michael Quay Jr. and the rest of his team as well moving to this side. And when the sorting ended, that's when it became really clear as to where all of this was going. The stockpile of ballot papers which were stationed in favor of Michael Quay Jr. began to send the message very clearly to Sarah Adwoa Safo, who also the years of the supporters of Michael Quay Jr., one who you just heard scream, no mistake, was beginning to deafen that of Sarah Adwoa Safo. They made their way out of this place, and then it began to look the more and more that it was clear that Michael Quay Jr. was going to emerge victorious. The EC officials are beginning to do a lot of the tabulation right now. Michael Quay Jr. is back in a vehicle and giving the number one sign to all of the delegates who come here in their numbers. That's him on top of the vehicle, seeking to make his way into this place with the vehicle as well. But it looks like he's been told that you have to come down from the vehicle, and he says he's too tired. Reading his lips, he says he's too tired, and so they have to make way for him to enter the inner perimeter with the vehicle. But the electoral officials are ready to be able to declare the results that we're seeing. And so we've been seeing the provisional. Perhaps we can see the official number now from the returning officer here, if he'll be kind enough to show that to us as well. If we can see it briefly as well, the final result as has been tabulated by officials of the Electoral Commission. And so there it is for all to see, the official votes as tabulated by the Electoral Commission. Michael Aaron Okoye Jr., 1,194. Sarah Adwoa Safo, 328. Sheila Adomase Chiopon, 186. Total rejected 7. Total votes in the boxes, both polling stations A and B, 1,715. The total valid votes counted or cast, 1,708. And so that's the picture for you, with Michael Quay Jr. now emerging victorious in what has been a keenly contested race. He was trying to make his way into the arena with his vehicle, but the security official said that was not going to be possible. Hence, he's made his way on foot now and will be seeking to make his way into the inner perimeter again, where official declaration can happen at this particular point. But it is all cheers for the support base of Michael Quay Jr. And it's been a hard-fought victory for him, but it's been a constituency that's caught the attention of a lot of people. And since 2020, when Sarah Adwoa Safo won the seat again on behalf of the governing New Patriotic Party, it saw in percentage-wise the numbers drop from the 68% which was recorded in 2016. It dropped to about 58% in the 2020 elections as well. And then she was appointed Minister of Gender and Social Protection. But along the line, there was a decision which was taken by Sarah Adwoa Safo, which was to change the coordinator of the National School Feeding Secretariat. That decision resulted in some changes or some direct orders coming from the presidency, which meant that she had to reinstate the coordinator of the School Feeding Secretariat. Many have argued that that was a decision that she didn't take kindly to, after which she went AWOL, decided to take a leave of Parliament, a Parliament that has numbers neck and neck, with both the NDC and the NPP sitting at 137 each, and only one independent candidate deciding to do business with the governing New Patriotic Party,
Right.
giving them the upper hand in Parliament. Her decision to decide to go AWOL meant the government suffered in Parliament.
Right. Mauna, now a quick one. Have you seen Adwoa Safo after the results that you've just put out? Is she around the area where you are?
Revenue measures underlined. And after that, when the constituency elections took place, I was...
Hello, Mauna, can you hear me?
Of the Dom Kwabenya...
Okay, so we'll try to establish that connection with Eric Mauna and giving us updates of what's happening in the Dom Kwabenya constituency. So now we do know. Finally, we have the results that many of you have been waiting for, and it's for good reason. The Dom Kwabenya constituency NPP primaries results as put out per the provisional results so far. Michael Quay Jr., this is his third attempt, 1,194 as against Sarah Adwoa Safo 328. That's a landslide. That's a heavy defeat, to say the least. Duke Mensah Opoku, the political affairs team here at Media General is with us in studio. And Duke, you've been following this constituency quite closely since we started talking about the dynamics of how things are going to play out. But if you look at the margin of defeat that Adwoa Safo has been dealt with right now, we're talking about 1,194 as against 328. That's almost 4 times the votes of Michael Quay Jr. What does this tell you?
It's downright embarrassing, Alfred, and it tells you how much Adwoa Safo has lost touch with the constituency. I'm not even entirely with the constituency, but with the delegates.
Great. Hold on a bit for me. Let's go back to the constituency. Let's hear from them what's going on.
Thank you.
So that's Aaron Michael Quay Jr. You just heard speaking after the results were also put out. And we're following quite closely how things are playing out because there's some clarity that the electoral officers there are going to give, especially to the state of affairs as we're seeing right now. Per the provisional results as we do have, we're waiting for that official announcement or declaration shortly. And we'll get it to you here on your election command center. So that is the provisional results we have right now, as we have put out earlier today. And as many people were also predicting, and some of the analysts as well you've heard earlier, indicating that it was going to be a difficult news. That's according to Professor Smart Sapon. It's going to be difficult to have Adwoa Safo declared as winner of this Dom Kwabenya constituency parliamentary primaries of the NPP. Let's hear from Michael Quay Jr.
Say thank you to the Almighty God for the opportunity to be the parliamentary candidate for Dom Kwabenya constituency. This is what you say, third time lucky. And so I'm very grateful to God because I know that this battle was the Lord's. Most importantly, I want to say thank you to the delegates of Dom Kwabenya for voting for me resoundingly over 1,190 votes. That's a big margin from 1,800 delegates. I'm so grateful. I also want to thank my family, my father, my brothers. Unfortunately, my mom has passed, so she will not be around to see this victory. But I want to say Thank you to all those who supported me, friends and family. And I want to just say thank you to everyone.
What worked the magic for you this time around? Like you said in your own words, third time lucky. What do you think worked? There are those who argue that the incumbent shot herself in the foot and made the work really easy for you.
Well, that's an opinion, but for me, the first time I was in India and she was in Ghana. This time I was in Ghana and she was in America. So maybe it changed a bit this time. Oh, in Kunimdia, Medina.
And so that's Michael Okoye Jr. really quite succinctly stating exactly what it is that has transpired in the Dom Kwabenya constituency. Says that he's third time lucky, appreciates the contribution of the many delegates in your shot here, some of whom you're hearing still scream that Adiana Dane, seeking to indicate that it has turned in their favor. And that's the situation here. Sarah Adwoa Safo, the incumbent member of parliament, has lost her bid, fourth-time bid really, to be the member of parliament for the largest constituency in the country. That's the Dom Kwabenya constituency. We were walking you through exactly what it is that transpired and that question about whether or not she shot herself in the foot. All had to do with even the argument that was made by Michael Okoye Jr. that the first time he contested, he was in India. This time, she was in America whilst he was in Ghana, seeking to make it quite clear in relation to when the MP went AWOL with regards to her appearance in Parliament, which caused...
Well, indeed. This is your election command center, Eric Mawana Egbeta, there from the Dom Kwabenya constituency. Now, as confirmed, Mike Okoye Jr. has been elected by the delegates of the NPP in the Dom Kwabenya constituency to represent that constituency on the ticket of the NPP in the 2024 elections. One constituency that was the focus of many, especially in the Greater Accra region, as to how things were going to play out. Mike Okoye Jr., third time lucky, but Duke, it was almost inevitable that this was going to happen. But if you look at the margin, and that was what I was asking you earlier, from 328 for Adwoa Safo to 1,194 for Michael Okoye Jr.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that should tell you how much of touch, Adwoa Safo really lost. And when, the wildest propaganda I've heard today was in Dom Kwabenya. The fact that the propaganda was going around that Adwoa Safo is the reason why Ghana is at the IMF. Because Adwoa was not in Parliament, MPP could not pass e-levy. And if the e-levy had been passed, probably, as the finance minister said, if the e-levy is passed, Ghana will not go to the IMF. You get the point.
And that was what was going on today.
Yeah, so, that should tell you the kind of damage. Just to accentuate the kind of...
Absolutely.
The point that Adwoa Safo has done a lot of damage to the NPP as a political party because of the fact that she went away to the US, and she has been apologizing, but that was also one of the mistakes she made. She went to the market. Emblematic of all the sentiments in a typical Dom Kwabenya setting would be the market, the famous Dom market. But how many of those market women are delegates?
True.
You would ask. So that was miscalculation. Apart from the optics, that if you want real impact, you should be engaging the delegates who you've abandoned for almost 2 years, not been in Parliament and all of that. But for me, what makes me happy, Adwoa is a fine legislator. When she was risen to the level of a deputy majority leader, started procurement minister, and even in opposition, she was deputy ranking member for foreign affairs. So she's built a lot of experience, but to let all that go away just like that, for me, is really sad. And it would have been very nice for her to have stepppt away honourably than to suffer this embarrassment. Come on, not even up to 500 votes for someone who was trying to run for a fourth term. Very, very embarrassing. But Okoye should not be happy yet. Of course, the constituency is very much polarized along Okoye, and of course, the numbers tell a different story. But at the general election, it will be different. Don't forget, Adwoa Safo's father is Apostle Kojo Safo. Apostle Kojo Safo has a huge following in certain parts of that constituency, the Taifa area, the Dome area, the Kwabenya area. There are a lot of Christo Asafo. I've lived in that constituency before. There are a lot of Christo. My landlady was a Christo Asafo person. And then someone who would go and vote for, what do you call it? Adwoa Safo on any day.
Regardless.
She's not a delegate, but she's a constituent. At the general elections, Okoye he has to start building bridges to ensure that at least he gets Adwoa Safo on his side, if not for anything at all, not to get the Dom Kwabenya, of course, the margins are narrowing. Previously, NPP won it by a very wide margin. But the NDC has areas like Ablaje, Agbogba, Ashoman, just certain places that would hugely deliver the numbers for them on the general election.
In the Zitokakwe at that point,
yes,
you could see that.
You would see she did a very well pulling in the numbers. So, in order not to suffer apathy, where the Christo Asafo guys would say that, well, Adwoa is not running again, Adwoa here, but Onko Bium Diane, may have Honko Twaba. You get the point. That voter apathy which would affect the numbers. And mind you, if they do not go out, because if they go and they vote Okoye, they would obviously vote Dr. Bawumia. So if they do not go out at all, Okoye will lose the vote. He may still be able to win it because obviously Dom Kwabenya is still a safe seat. But Dr. Bawumia may not get the numbers that usually Dom Kwabenya would bring to the table for him. Don't forget also that the election petition started from Dom Kwabenya. Adwoa Safo was able to, the 2012 election petition, Adwoa Safo, per calculation and tabulation, found out that there is something amiss. That's where the NPP started building their evidence with which they took to the Supreme Court for that landmark election 2012 petition, which they lost anyway. But just to make the point about how important Dom Kwabenya is the largest constituency, followed by Ashaman in terms of the sheer number of people who are on the voters' album. So it's a very important constituency. It's a very delicate constituency that Michael Queen Jr. is inheriting. And the least he can do is to try. Luckily, his father is a party elder, former MP himself. He needs to begin in earnest to unify the ranks and try as much as possible to get Adwoa Safo on his side going into general elections. Otherwise, the Christo Asafo bloc decides to pull away from Dom Kwabenya. It may not be a good story for him.
It's going to be a tough one for him to also fight. But if you look at the presidential results as well, at least since the constituency was created from prior to the 2004 elections, it's always tilted to the NPP.
Right.
Over the period from 2004. So you make the point about how the presidential may play out,
yes,
all things being equal, taking into consideration the precedents we've seen in previous elections and how the dynamics of apathy could also impact on Dr. Bawumia. That is,
yes,
if these bridges you're talking about are not addressed
but
in
that
Alfred,
matter. What I'm happy about, however, is the fact that now politicians know that their acts, their actions have consequences. Very, very important. You cannot abandon your constituency for God knows how long. And all of a sudden resurface distributing yogurts and expect.
There was hot breakfast that was shared this morning. That didn't make much of a
difference.
difference.
Nice person, my good friend.
Yeah, but Dr. Asante, bring you out at this point, at least now we know the reality of the situation in the Dom Kwabenya constituency. 328 against 1,194. You had said minutes ago before the results came through that it was going to be a miracle for Adwoa Safo to win. Well, the chips are falling in its place now. We know how the picture looks like. Was this a margin that you were expecting based on your own analysis?
Oh, yes. At least Adwoa has learned a bitter lesson from all that he did to her constituents and then to the party. So the results that we saw is nothing but a reflection of the people's anger that they poured out in election. Election represents the feeling, the interest of people. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you use it as a barometer to gauge the feeling of people and see the way forward. That aside, 2024 election is not going to be easy. Yes, and it is going to be extremely difficult if you don't take your chances well, particularly so when we are talking about incumbent government, that is a whole lot of things are against the government. The Domi-Kwabena constituency is an important constituency apart from its sheer size and sheer numbers. But, you know, economic activity is rife there because of the big market there. How these people are faring on the market in terms of economic livelihood and all that are going to, you know, feature prominently in the electoral scheme of things. And that is something that Okwe Jr. should take into consideration and how he wants to work these things out. Remember, it is also like a polyglot, you know, that houses all manner of people and all that. If you live in such a constituency, your calculation should be apt and you should be able to put your finger on issues clearly so as to predict and show the direction that election will go so that you can have a counter to some of these things. So it calls for a lot of introspection, a lot of analysis, and a lot of finding out the constituency-specific issues. More often than not, people, after they've won the ticket and they are good to go, they campaign on things that are national in character. Yes, it's fine. But constituency-specific issues will play out. Okay, should watch out this. And then you also look at the fact that, look, in this election, what I can see from where I sit is that places where people are disenchanted, if they are not likely to give their vote to the NDC, what they do is they stay away and they will not vote. And that is something that is likely to affect the fortunes of the NPP. Those who are, you know, dying wood of our party members obviously will not want to give their vote to another party. But what they do more often than not is to shy away from the election. And it's an indirect way of voting against you. If you expect 20 people to vote for you, and at the end of the day, 10 show up, it means that you have lost 10 and you give your opponent the strength to go. So all these things are going to play out. But the good news for Okwe Jr. is that he has an institution that he can rely on. That is his father, who has also, you know, conquered that constituency before, ruled that constituency, and he's a serious political actor. But he has to take all his chances well and be able to campaign very effectively. Because remember, the NDC approach is going to be different, especially when, you know, Okwe has now come in and they know all manner of people who will support him and all that. You are going to see a very elaborate, a very strategic campaign, and then all the things under their sleeves will be brought to bear on the campaign. So it's something that Okwe Jr. cannot take for granted.
Indeed, and we're going to come back to this, but so far we've counted 10 incumbent MPs who have lost, and the last count is now 17. So the updated number now is 17 incumbent MPs who have lost their bid to contest again on the ticket of the NPP in the 2024 election. So that's the update now. Earlier, we put out 10. The number has increased to 17 incumbent MPs who have lost. We knew that going into this contest, and incumbent MPs were going to lose. Obviously, that was an inevitable outcome. And one of such is Adwoa Safo we've been talking about. But another incumbent MP who has lost her bid to contest on the ticket of the NPP is Sheila Bartels in the Ablekuma North constituency. And she was defeated by another woman. So now we're still retaining the women in parliament. At least that's not going to be a concern for the persons who want a lot more female representation in parliament. Ekia Efreye defeated Sheila Bartels by some 756 votes as against Sheila Bartels polling 637 votes. So this is Ekia Efreye speaking to journalists after the announcement of the results, official results declared by the Electoral Commission returning officer in the Ablekuma North constituency. Take a look. Oh, so there you have it. That's Adwoa Safo, Deputy Ambassador of Ghana to China. And in fact, Duke, together with the team, we were in the constituency, in fact, just a few days ago. The constituents that we interacted with had indicated that Sheila Battles was going to win. But now, as the reality has dawned now, Sheila Battles, the incumbent member of parliament for the Ablekuma North constituency, is one of 17 incumbent NPP MPs who have lost their bid to contest on the ticket of the NPP in the 2024 election. So she was defeated by Adwoa Safo, who polled 756 votes. The Adwoa Safo, you just heard her, as against Sheila Battles, 637 of the votes. We're going to put on the screen shortly the 17 incumbent MPs, at least 17 that we have identified so far. But let's go the New Dwaben North constituency, where the results have also been declared now. And the winner of that particular election in the New Dwaben North constituency has also been speaking to journalists some few minutes ago. Take a look.
For a healthy competition. I also thank the Ghana Police Service. They've done a yeoman's job. The media and the Electoral Commission. At the right time, I will address the media again. Thank you very much.
Well, so you have it there in the New Dwaben North constituency. Nana Osayeje there speaking after the results were declared. We're also monitoring what is happening in other constituencies, especially in the Greater Accra region. We're seeing some incumbent MPs also losing their bid to contest. Some of you have been texting about Mavis Hawakumsin after the GJ texted about, they also issued that directive for a media blackout and so on. Well, here's what we do know. In the Awutu Senya East constituency, what we do know, Mavis Hawakumsin 1,318 as against Bernard Dankwa 97, Eric Kweku Boating 15, and the rejected ballot 1. So that's what we're seeing right now. We're going to go to social media now and also get some of the comments that a number of you have been sharing with us here on your election command center. Na Ashoko. Let's get into the social media. What are people saying?
Yes, please. There's a lot of talk on social media now about the Dom Kwabenya constituency and the fact that Adwoa Safo has lost her seat to Mike Okoye Jr. There's a lot of conversation going on, especially on X. Now, this is a constituency that we're all looking out for. We've been waiting for the results from this constituency, among other things, because of the controversy surrounding Adwoa Safo, her absence from Parliament, her return, her apology, and her reasons for being absent for so long. Now, after her loss was announced, here are some messages that came up. Big Stormzy says, hey, see gap, hey, delegates are wicked rough. Meanwhile, the party she do last night, I see more than 328 delegates there. Hey, so basically, if you don't understand pidgin English, she threw a party last night, apparently, and there were more than 328 delegates, a number of people who voted for her there.
But the breakfast that was served
this morning.
There are more than 328, right? Yeah, we saw.
Well, so I guess that goes to speak to the fact that delegates should be feared, perhaps. More messages coming in. Seshi says, the sense of complacency they kill these leaders of ours, not knowing the Ghanaian populace they learn and changing their minds now. All those who voted her out, arise Ghana, okay? More messages coming in. Kwejo Douglas says, at least the delegates showed that they can't be bought with the money and other stuff. Next time, she'll do her own homework. She'll do her homework well. Will there be a next time for her, Mpo? Let her go and continue her vacation. All right. That 328 people where votes give I know the bab. And that's from another Twitter user. All right. This one says she can now have time to concentrate on her successful TikTok and travel blogger career and leave politics for serious people. Good riddance. All right. Churchill says, make y'all relax for Adwoa Safo. She be woman. She gets emotions. All right. More messages on Adwoa Safo. Make she go collect all in fan yogo and fan eyes from the delegates. Yeah, they're very wicked, Papa. All right, that's from Kay Dana. And this one says, the best news ever. In fact, I'm going to withdraw all my salary and go out. Okay.
Wow.
And then and then
to commit suicide.
More messages coming in. I hope her government is also preparing to pack their things and exit this election. All right, we're going to knock them out. Pro Max. Okay, so you can see a lot of the messages coming in up here.
There's been a lot of trolling,
they're really trolling Adwoa Safo today. I don't know why I can't stop laughing. So far, all the drama. Who advised her to contest? All right, Nipaye Cobra. Okay. Still on Adwoa Safo, Whitney Boachi Mensah says, Dom Kwabenya, you people don't like MP that speaks slangs by day and chi by night. Okay, so basically, the tweets on Adwoa Safo keep coming in. They're endless. In fact, if you search Adwoa Safo on X or Twitter right now, the tweets are so many, it appears that a lot of people are trolling her. A lot of people seem to be happy that she lost the seat. And people are questioning the 328 people who voted for her. And they have questions about why they voted for her. But the truth is, Mike Okoye did win by a landslide, over 1,000 votes in his favor and less than 400 in Adwoa Safo's favor. So this is what's happening on X and other social media platforms on Adwoa Safo right now. We'll bring you more reactions on other constituencies as we go. Alfred.
Definitely. And Nashoko, thank you very much here on your election command center. Let's cross over to the Ashanti region where Northern Bureau Chief William Evans Sinkum is leading the team there on your election command center and is connecting with us now on Zoom. William, now we're getting information that areas, for instance, in the Obuasi East constituency, we're seeing that there's some new faces as well as the incumbent in the Otobrebe areas as well. The Honorable Emmanuel Akwesi Jemfi, we understand, has lost to lawyer Anthony Mie Are you able to confirm that?
Well, absolutely. And of course, not only those places, but if you come to the Subin constituency, Eugene Boachientri, the former Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, has also lost his seat to lawyer Adwoa. Then, of course, if you also go to Bosome Franho constituency, the incumbent Akwasi Dakon has also lost his seat, a number of them. But those who were able to retain their seat, or would you say, or you would say, survive the scare, of course, we've talked about Asanso Boache. Patricia Apeje was also able to retain her ticket to contest for the parliamentary election in 2024. And of course, you also go to Achoma Ngwabieja South constituency. Unfortunately, the incumbent, Anshere, has also lost his bid. If you go to the Asante Akim Central, Anyimadu was also able to survive the scare from Kofi Fosu and Kansa, the chief executive for NIP. So that is what is also happening. As far as that particular constituency is concerned, go far south, then the incumbent was also able to retain his ticket. Of course, Bice Osekofo did everything he could, but he couldn't win.
So
Then
Andy Appiah has been retained as the Asante Achim South.
No, North.
North.
That is
Asante Achim North constituency.
North. Yes,
okay.
North constituency. So Andy Appiah has retained his ticket for the Asante Akim North constituencies. Well, Tafo Pankrono constituency, despite all that happened, Vincent Asefua was able to sail through with some 30 votes over Sewa Donko. So Vincent has also been able to retain his seat for the Tafo Pankrono constituency. Alfred.
Good stuff there. And William, what does all of this trend tell you? I mean, you've been doing some analysis of at least the picture we are seeing right now, and having followed prior to today and what is happening now, what is this picture telling you from your understanding of the constituencies that we're seeing?
Well, so for Tafo constituency, it's obvious that Vincent was able to do a lot of work at the polling station level, because among the constituency executives, he wasn't that popular. Similar thing happened to Collins Usamankwa in the Mention-North constituency in 2015. Of course, that particular election was slated for 2015, but later it was held in 2016, together with Kosimintim. But Collins, let me also chip in this. Collins lost to the incumbent in the Mention-North constituency. The former MP couldn't grab the ticket as he made an attempt. So, yes, Vincent Asefua was able to do that despite the scare from Louisa Sewa Donko. And it tells you, like I said, he was able to do a lot of work at the grassroots level or the polling station level. Of course, I mean, if you go to the Achoma Kwaoma constituency, the incumbent, the deputy defense minister, was also able to win by landslide. I have spoken at length as far as the Bantama constituency is concerned, so I wouldn't want to go there. But if you come to Subin constituency, where Eugene Boachientri also lost his seat, I mean, it was very obvious that Eugene was always going to lose the seat. One has to do with the fact that he was an ardent supporter of Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen. Of course, we remember when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was in the region, the executives openly said they will support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So, quote and unquote, the orchestration has always been
unfortunately, we lost a connection with William Evans Inkom, our Northern Bureau Chief leading the Ashanti Regional team here on your election command center. Is mentioned a few of the incumbents, about 3 of them that he just touched on, who have lost their bid to contest on the ticket of the NPP in the 2024 elections. Now, we do know 4 have been confirmed now in the Ashanti region. Now, let's look at the casualties. At least we do know 17 incumbent MPs that we have counted here on your election command center. And the number may grow. It may grow, all things, at least from the trend we are seeing. So far, 17 is what we have counted. And Duke is going to run us through the 17 incumbent MPs who have lost their bid to contest on the ticket of the NPP in the 2024 elections. Duke, what do we have?
Yeah, so the shocker has gone up 21. At
21.
least 21.
21.
21, and it's still counting. 21 incumbent MPs have lost their bid to be retained in Parliament. So, Efia Joseph Kujo, he's the only MP that constituency has ever known since it was created. That constituency was carved out in 2012. Joseph Kujo is the only MP they have ever known. Today, he's lost his bid to lawyer Yao Buama. He's the Minister of State for Public Enterprises. He was seeking to make a fourth-term bid, seeking to go into Parliament for 16 years, but he was unlucky today, and the delegates have rather chosen to go with lawyer Yao Buama. Next, Akwesida Akumbuatin, first of the one-term MPs. He's a one-term MP. I mean, managed to get the seat from another person who ran but lost. So Akwesida Akumbuatin is a one-term MP. He's MP for Bosome Freon constituency. He lost that bid to a gentleman I know very well. That is Nana AJ. He was Grassac president when I was at Legon. He's currently the director of international affairs for the New Patriotic Party. And he managed to beat Akwesida Akumbuatin and the former MP, that is Madam Joyce Akonde. Yes, so he's won the candidature for the New Patriotic Party, and Bosome Freon will be in a safe seat for the NPP. It looks very, very good for the gentleman.
I see. Right. And Dr. Asasante on Joseph Kujo for the FIA consults. Just a quick one on that.
Yeah, if we can go back.
Yes.
Right. This is a very important constituency that MPP has been winning. So this gentleman, look at the effort that he has put in, and he lost at this time. It tells you that there's incumbency fatigue setting in. All right. Normally, when constituents do not want to lose the constituency to another party,
right,
and they see that the incumbent is not pulling his or her weight, they quickly show him or her the exit so as to save the constituency. So I'm sure that is what is happening, playing out there. Because FIA, we have known FIA, for years. And that has been a safe seat for the MPP. From Joe Bedu Ansa era and the rest of them, you do your homework very little, and then you get all acts together, you are able to win the day. So when the people gauge the mood and they realize that, look, their MP is not pulling his weight and all that, quickly they vote this way so as to save the party. So it's an early warning signal that the people have picked, and quickly they kick him out.
Guess what? We're also monitoring updates coming in that the numbers have gone up to 22. So we'll tell you the latest.
Yes.
So I told you that's going to keep rising until we get to the
still
end of
counting.
things. Yes.
22 and still counting. So this year, Nana Kwame Asafo, he won the Bosome Freon constituency.
Right.
This is a woman, very quiet, goes about her politics very nicely. I mean, I once did a story about her as the MP who was, when she got into Parliament the first time, she decided not to take a car loan and was using a Beetle.
Yes.
An MP using Interfrica, But she's come to the end of the road. Ama Poma Boatin, Deputy Minister for Communications. She's lost her seat in Drabin, at the heart of Ashanti, the constituency of the Chairman of the Council of State, Nana Utu Serbo. So, Ama Poma Boatin, luckily, her boss, Eslousu, bossed her constituency, but she could not. So, Ama Poma Boatin loses the seat.
Dr. Sasanti, you want to take a quick one on that?
Yeah. One thing about Ashanti politics is that they are very, very, very careful. There are some constituencies that are so dear to their hearts, like we are talking about that Drabin constituency. From traditional perspective, from whatever, it's a very strong constituency. So anytime they believe that an MP is not doing well, they don't hesitate at all. They'll throw you out and get some people in. And it's also coming from the fact that if you look at some of the proposals they made in the last election, they wanted to maintain some MPs by hook or by crook and all that. All these things, have given a certain sense to the delegates that, look, if you get opportunity to change somebody who is not doing well, change it until such a time that if you don't take care, the people can bring in that proposal. That thing is still hanging around the necks of people within the NPP domain, and that if you happen to be a non-performing MP, you are likely to be kicked out.
Okay, thank you. That's about jobbing.
Yeah.
What's next?
Daboya Mankarigu. Asai Mahama is also going to be a one-term MP. He took over the seat from an NDC member of parliament for that constituency, Shaibu Mahama. And Daboya Mankarigu is a swing seat. And Asai Mahama, who is Deputy Minister for Health, it's not going well at all at the Health Ministry.
True.
Trust me.
Yes.
Their colleague Deputy Minister will come to that side as well. But Asai Mahama, allegedly, after sharing motorbikes in that constituency, he still lost to Samuel Tika. So that's the story of Asai Mahama in the Daboya Mankarigu constituency. Next, Bright Rekubrobe. Okay, so that we have the Anyaso Otum constituency. Dr. Adwoa Kisi took over from Dr. Adwoa Kisi took over from Shelley Ayokoboche. Okay, so yeah, so on the board now we have Bright Rekubrobe. This is at the heart of the central region in the Dencha enclave. Bright Rekubrobe this is his second term in Parliament. He came to Parliament in 2016. He's Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations. But he lost to a colossus in that constituency. Maybe not in national politics, but in the constituency. The man, Lawrence Agyensem, he's the MD of the Ghana Exim Bank. And he's been a parliamentary candidate before. It's just that when he was a parliamentary candidate in 2012, he could not win the seat for the party. So in 2016, he lost to Bright Rekubrobe. Bright Rekubrobe was lucky did his work well and got the constituents to vote for him. But this time around, he's lost. He's lost the seat, or lost the candidature of the NPP to Lawrence Agyensem, who's the managing director of the Ghana Exim Bank. Dr. Adwoa Kisi from the Anyar Sotuum constituency. Somehow, he never really was able to find his feet. In 2012, he contested Shelley Ayokoboche, and Shelley Ayokoboche, of course, decided not to run again in 2020. And then Dr. Adwoa Kisi, who has a hospital, runs a hospital in the constituency. And
he's on the health committee of Parliament.
He's on the health committee of Parliament. Somehow, a lot of people didn't see this coming. But Anyaso Otum is a huge constituency. They have a lot of road challenges. He didn't find favor in the eyes of a lot of the government of the day. So he was not appointed. For such a fine brain for a medical doctor, someone would have thought he would have been tapped into the health ministry or somewhere. But he wasn't given any position, not in Parliament, not in government, and probably could not do his homework also. A certain Emmanuel Tobin, that name may ring a bell later on. Emmanuel Tobin has unseated him, and Dr. Adwoa Kisi is also a one-term MP. Maybe he will try to make a comeback.
Right. Anyaso Otum.
Yes.
Yes. If you look at some of the allegations against him, that he could not fix their rules and all that, he's going to come up strongly.
In the general election.
In the general election. Because I have a friend who lives there, and, you need very strong cars to be able to survive the terrain and all that. Yeah. But if you look at some of the issues that influence voter choices at the national level, infrastructure development is one, and is going to feature. This is the beginning of other things to happen. And if the party really is serious about it, they should look at this and see how best they can, address their problem, because they are going to carry this to the national level. I can tell you without fear of contradiction. Yes.
At least with also the concerns that against him will play out in the general elections. Let's see the next person, please.
Elvis Morris Donko. That name should ring a bell. Party Heska. Remember, he was part of the Galamsey, leaked tapes in the central region. He's currently vice chairman of the very powerful Mines and Energy Committee. And Adwoa Safo is not a safe seat; it's a swing seat. Remember, that's the same constituency Felix Ofosu-Kwakye is contesting. Yes. He managed to beat Felix in the last election, but this time around, he wouldn't have a second bite of the cherry. Even before he can lace his boots, he's lost in his own backyard. His party have rejected him. And Elvis Morris Donko, he used to run an NGO before he got into politics. His community mobilizing and developmental skills could not save him. He's going out of parliament, and he's a two-term member of parliament, but he would not be returning, as the people of Adwoa Safo, Asebu Kwamankesi have, the constituents have rejected him.
Okay. Now,
interesting.
I want to. Yeah, I'm not surprised that we are seeing changes, in that direction, because for Central Region, as you and I know, is one of the swing constituencies or regions, and that it's easy for them to throw you out if they see that they find something wrong with you or you are not performing as expected. So they've quickly shown him the exit, and that they are now coming, NPP is coming face to face with the NDC there. I'm sure this was the Amabenyado constituency.
Yeah, that's Umwa somewhere.
Yes.
Closer,
so closer. So these places, you don't joke at all. And we are going to see real contest there.
Yeah. Yes.
We're going to see real contest.
Yes.
Let's go to one constituency that many were also watching how things are going to play out. This is the Subin constituency, right?
Yes, Subin. Yes, let's do Subin before we come to Odotobri. Subin, because of the man involved, Eugene painfully, and I say this with a painfully took out the Honorable Isaac Osei, who was then fresh off his presidential bid. He contested in 2014 to be president. He wasn't successful. I mean, the NPP didn't vote for him. Then Eugene capitalized on that. He came in, he had been communicating for the party for a while. He was just fresh off his appointment with Barclays Bank in London, said he learned a lot at the feet of Victor Usu because they were neighbors in London. He came in, and Eugene Entry, that's him. He's lost. Unfortunately, that's the end of the road for you guys. He would not be going back to parliament. But people think that he's lost to someone who really did a lot in terms of mobilizing resources in that constituency. Now, Eugene Entry, remember, he's one of the renegade MPs.
Yes.
Those who wanted who wanted Ken Ofori-Atta out. So when you do that, naturally you would draw enemies.
And you remember that when you started that campaign, I came out saying that there's a price that those people who are leading that charge will pay.
But you see,
I'm not surprised.
There are some of them who have escaped this price, apparently, because for Andy Apiakubi, he has retained his seat in the Asante North constituency. He's retained his candidature, for that matter, to contest on the ticket of the NPP, at least based on the results we have seen so far. So it was Andy Apiakubi and Eugene Entry who led the pack of the initial 98 NPP MPs who wanted Ken Ofori-Atta. That press conference, the famous press conference they addressed. And so, yes, you would say that apart from Eugene Entry's involvement, the active involvement to have the president sack Ken Ofori-Atta, which, well, hasn't happened, he's still the finance minister, together with other things that may have been happening in the constituency, may have worked against him.
Apart from that, the main, Doc, a moment.
Yeah, please.
The main, the Kumasi constituencies, they had Bantama. Earlier, Evans was talking about the triangle. The triangle that never retains their MPs. Bantama, Inshaeso, Kwadaso, Subin is nearby. Subin is the heart of Kumasi, Asafo, Amekom, you have Edum, you have Konfanoche, all around the same place. Generally, the temperament of Ashanti Regional Kumasi delegates, when it comes to parliamentary aspirants, it's not the best. And you couple it with by getting enemies from the government. Apiakubi could have survived, but Eugene was always going to be very, very difficult. Especially if you look at the kind of resources his competitor, a lawyer who was also working for NADMO in Ashanti region, was pumping into that constituency. Alfred, you should have seen one of his billboards, as huge as the whole of this studio. At the heart of Subin. That's one of those billboards was there. And he's managed to beat Eugene.
Let's flip to the next one, Doc, respectfully.
Okay.
Yes, let's go to...
Okay, so Frida Prempeh in Tano North in the Ahafo region, and the Minister of State has lost that seat. Frida Prempeh has lost Tano North to Dr. Gideon Boako. And even though Gideon Boako started his politics in the Ashanti region, Gideon Boako was regional youth organizer for the NPP in the Ashanti region, not the Ahafo region. But he's managed to work. Vice President been communicating for him as a spokesperson for the past almost 8 years. Yes. And so when he decided, and he started building up. I mean, in the last election, he was very strong in Tano North, and Tano North, that is Dua and Kwanta, and it's environment. So he's been giving motorbikes, building constituency offices, doing projects there, of course, as the vice president, And in school, they went to Bechem Presec. So Gideon Boakwan has done a lot of work in Dua and Kwanta and its enclave against Frida Prempeh, who also, ironically, Frida Prempeh was an assemblywoman in Accra. Managed to do all of that and still was able to win the Tano North seat. He's been MP since 2012. So Frida Prempeh has been there for a while. The constituents in Dua and Kwanta now think that, hey, it's now time for Gideon Boakwan. Yes. And if Dr. Bawumia succeeds in his bid to become president, who knows what that will mean for Tano North. So but all
this is a
dynamics
safe seat for the NPP.
For the NPP. It's a safe seat for the NDC. It's never won the seat. It's a seat that used to be occupied by the great minister Ernest Akubwa-Debra in the NPP era. So always they stick with the NPP. That is Dua and Kwanta and its environment. Gifty Chuma Mpofu, another shocking one, but Gifty Deputy Minister for Education, strong contest faced the likes of Palgrave, but Palgrave also could not win. Could not even manage up to 200 votes. It's another gentleman there, and Anai J. Frimpong, who was able to beat Gifty Chuma Mpofu. So Gifty Chuma Mpofu, remember she came into Parliament via a by-election. Very, very sad after the death, the dastardly murder of J.B. Dankwedu. That's when Gifty Chuma Mpofu used to be a science teacher at Akosombo International School. Got the opportunity to get into Parliament. By that by-election, that was occasioned by the death of J.B. Dankwedu. And Gifty Chuma Mpofu, unfortunately, this is the end of the road for her. Usually, when you come in through a by-election, like it's happened in Kumewu, there was no contest in Kumewu because of. So when you come in through by-election, so 2016, obviously, she wasn't going to be contested. Sure. So the first real contest she's faced, she's fallen to the sword, and Gifty Chuma Mpofu will not be in Parliament from 2025. Deputy Education Minister, sadly being axed from Parliament. John Benham, Zabzugu constituency, you can't blame him much when the Deputy Chief of Staff wants your seat, as we saw play out in Bantama and in Jinapos constituency. That is Damongo. Yes, when the Deputy Chief of Staff wants your seat, and that's what happens. John Benham.
You stand also, very little chance of returning.
Yes, very, very little chance of returning. So John Benham has lost that seat in Zabzugu. Samuel Abaka, so a first-term MP, one-term MP, Samuel Abaka managed to beat Atto Pamford in the Shamar constituency in the 2020 primary. He's been in Parliament, he's a lawyer, and he's been beaten today. So Samuel Abaka would unfortunately be a one-term MP. Probably in a later time he could try his luck again to see if he can get back into Parliament. So Samuel Abaka, off he goes from Parliament. And this one, quite shocking. I was in the constituency on Wednesday to file a report. Yes, Sheila Battels. Sheila Battels comes from political royalty, if you would like. Kwamina Battels' daughter. Kwamina Battels was MP for that constituency for a number of years. When I'm four-time MP for Sheila for that constituency, Ablekuma North. Interesting, it was a rematch contest in the sense that Sheila Battels managed to beat Ekwe Osu-Afriye in 2020. Now Ekwe Osu-Afriye has managed to beat Sheila Battels. Now the sentiments I picked on the ground when I was in the constituency on Wednesday was that Sheila Battels is a forthright politician. If you come to her with a problem, if she cannot solve it for you, she will tell you point blank that this one I can't do anything about it.
Yet. Let's go.
And people they want people who would coax their egos and say and lie to them and so I'm trying that kind of thing. No. So even though there are a lot of people who really like her and like her, and as a first MP, hardly do you have people hit the ground running in their first term. But Sheila Battels was on the finance committee. And for a first term MP to find your way onto the finance committee, and she was given the opportunity a lot of times to contribute. So to have someone like that, probably the political training she got from her father, and she managed to hit the ground running in her first term. But the delegates, the constituents of Ablekuma North think otherwise. And so Sheila Battels has lost the seat to Ekwe Osu-Afriye, who successfully now is one of the few comeback MPs who have been successful. So she lost the seat, went off to China to be deputy ambassador to China. She's back and she's won the seat. Golden comeback has really happened. That's how she tagged her content, her campaign.
Dr. Sasante, that's a quick one on this. While we flip to the next one.
Yeah, if you look at this constituency, right, Kwame Abates in the era of President Kufuor was a strong force. You remember Parliamentary James Bond? He was nicknamed. Yeah, he did a lot of work building the constituency so strongly and all that. In fact, that constituency, unfortunately, my friend, who we lost a few months ago, was the chairman there. Yes. So they did a lot of work, and Batel's name was synonymous with all the good things in there. But I'm sure the people wanted to end the reign of the Batels and then to bring in a fresh blood so as to inject new energies into the system. So it's all well and good, provided a person can stand the tempo of the NDC.
Well, let's go to the health ministry again. Another casualty. So the two deputy ministers in the health ministry are all gone. They've lost their bid to contest on the ticket of the NPP.
We need to check in Norma Central to find out if the minister himself survived.
Let's
check Norma Central. With the accident of two deputies, let's see if
the minister himself is safe.
Safe, yes. So this is Wage Agbawe, Tina Nayele Mensah. Tina Mensah took over from Rosemond Dabura, who was the MP from 2012 to 2016. And Tina Mensah claimed before the competition that she was the landlady because we know Jerry Ahmed Shaib, the CEO of the Coastal Development Authority. He contested unsuccessfully in Choko, Ablekuma South. He contested on 2 occasions. They never gave him the. I mean, he won the contest anyway to be on the ballot paper on the ticket of the NPP, but he would always lose to Okochenche. That is Van der Poel at the national poll. So he decided change of strategy. He decided to rediscover his Wage Agbawe roots. Now, when he filed to contest, Tina Mensah said she's the landlady of the constituency. Even until 3 months ago, we didn't know Jerry Ahmed Shai from anywhere. Surprisingly, Jerry has won the constituency with about a 300 vote margin, beating the landlady of the constituency, as she calls herself. So Tina Nayele Mensah's reign in that constituency has ended. She was the regional women's organizer in the Greater Accra region, the national women's organizer actually, before the woman from Akwitia took over. The current national Kejimfua took over. So Tina Mensah, unfortunately, that's the end of the road for her. Health Ministry deputy gone in Wage Agbawe. Yes, so we're all back to square. But there are a number of other interesting ones.
And Sarah Adwoa Safo as well.
Sarah Adwoa Safo is the big one.
This will be something we've been talking about for quite a while.
Yes, so Sarah Adwoa Safo has lost that seat. We've done a lot of discussions about it. Sarah Adwoa Safo has been in Parliament from 2012 to go over from Professor Michael Kwentema Central as well. Yves Hansen-Norte. Yes, he was very, I mean, a lot of people remember him from the chaotic night in Parliament. Very, very, if you see him, very giant structure, almost close to.
I mean, the last time he walks into the studio for key point, he was twice my height.
More or less like Henry Korte in height, and he's a giant of a politician, but unfortunately the giant has been slayed in Tema Central. So he took over from Kofi Brako, and if not, Hansen-Norte will be a one-term MP, unfortunately, from 2012.
Have we talked about Bosome Frehon?
Bosome Frehon, yes, we've spoken about that.
What about Palgrave area?
Palgrave, that's Gifty Chumampofu. Gifty Chumampofu lost.
What about the Trobu constituency?
Trobu is one of the constituencies that has litigation around it, but that is Moses Enim's constituency. We are still waiting for that. But interestingly, we have Amasaman, and Amasaman, Akwesi Efrifa has lost.
Yes, Akwesi Efrifa Mensah.
Akwesi Efrifa Mensah, formerly of the Ghana School Feeding Program, has lost.
He's the incumbent.
He's the incumbent. He's lost it to Yaya Kasim Atta, the man who was promising half plots to.
So that's the 22nd person we are talking about. So now, at least we do know 22 incumbent MPs, at least so far.
Still counting.
It's still counting. Dr. Sasante, now, at least we've seen the numbers are growing. It tells a story from the political scientist perspective. What do you see in there?
Yeah. Sometimes you hear party people say that attrition rate in Parliament is gradually becoming a problem. And that they would have loved to have more experienced people maintained at all times. But I have a contrary argument in the sense that, look, nobody was born in Parliament in the first place. We all go there and walk through the socialization process and become the best for our party, the best for our government, the best for our country. So at a point in time when people feel that there's a need to change a candidate and bring in another, you give way. Once you want to be an impediment to the cause of the change, obviously the tsunami will sweep you away. And that is one of the things that I find very interesting when changes are made in this direction, so that we get new people, go there, learn the ropes, they become the best for themselves and for the party. Look at before the era of, Mr. Chairman Sabunzu. We had Abraham Oseedu, who was the deputy to J.H. Mensah. These were top guys in Parliament. They did their bit. And that time, people like Mr. Chairman Sabunzu were learning the ropes and all that. In no time, they also got to the apogee, developed themselves to the best, and then endeared themselves to the hearts of many in terms of their performance and all that. This tells you that if anybody given the opportunity can learn the ropes and also become the best for themselves. But if you really want to always bang your hope on the old guards who are there, who have performed, and they continue to be there, you will not see the potentials of young people and all that. Remember, we have had J.H. Mensah and co. They are gone. People like Dr. Jones Ofurata and co. Young people who were so dynamic, so intelligent, so experienced. They were in Parliament with all the big names. And they performed so creditably well. Looking at people like President J.H., J. Kufuor. Kufuor was an MP for Echimangwa and the rest of them. Young person, he, acquitted himself so well within the party, and then he became, a toast for many within the party and the rest of them. All that I'm saying is that you give chance when the opportunity comes. So I will urge them, those who have lost, to accept defeat and then, move with the changing circumstances of the time and go and prepare if they really want to come again. And there is one thing that politicians also don't do in this country, that he has gone for MP seat and he has lost. He still wants to be there. You can find other ways where you can assist the party, all right? Maybe you find yourself at the research department and then you contribute your quota there. Who knows? You become a champion and your party will stay in power forever. Political parties, their aim first and foremost is to win power and then be in government forever and ever. You break the 8, you break the 12, the 16, and the rest of them. So if you are not performing well in one area, discover yourself in another area and work towards this. Then always you keep the idea that, look, I'm going to Parliament by hook or by crook. It doesn't work that way.
Well, we're monitoring some information from the Yendi constituency. Do you recall that there was some misunderstanding in the Yendi constituency? That's where Alhaji Farouk Aliu Mahama, who's an incumbent member of parliament, is seeking to be retained by the delegates. There was some misunderstanding. We understand that the declaration of the results had to be done at the police station because of the misunderstanding at the coalition center in that constituency. So we will tell you shortly the results from the Yendi constituency, but from the provisional results, it appears that Alhaji Farouk Aliu Mahama seems to have been retained by the delegates in the constituency. You know, prior to this moment, a number of the things, reports of the alleged vote buying with branded television sets, 21-inch, 40-inch TV sets with branded. You take it and then you should just make sure that as you are watching the TV, it's reminding you of where the TV came from. But it's troubling.
But is that story true?
We saw Farouk branded TV.
Yes, I've seen that on social media, but I want to believe that it's not true. Is it the case?
If there is evidence,
why do you believe other vote buying attempts and not this one?
No. I just want to find out because I can't comment on something that I'm not sure of. All right, but if that is the case, then it's unfortunate because inducement takes away your ability to assess who a candidate that you really want to represent you. Elections are the processes that we elect people from time to time, people who can address our problems for us, who can be true representative of our opinions, our dreams, aspirations, and all that. So you don't throw that thing away and go for what? Inducement, and then get that one as what? Something that in exchange for the real issue that we are talking about. So I'll find it very, very, it's worrying if that's the case. But one thing that stands out clearly also that in spite of all that people have said, I believe that maybe he has been working very well in that constituency and he has won the confidence of the people. Remember that that's the home constituency that's the constituency of his father, Alhaji Aliu Mahama, where he built a lot of goodwill in that constituency for him. The gentleman we are talking about was my student. So I know, yes.
That's Farouk,
yeah,
the
I thought
incumbent MP.
Yeah, Gimpa, you know.
See.
And so he's a hardworking guy, and I believe that I'm sure he has put in all his all to be able to withstand the pressure. Remember, Yendi is not a small seat. It's a very hot seat. So you always want to win and win convincingly, because otherwise when it comes to the national one, you'll be kicked out in no time. So let's see how it plays out in the national elections.
Certainly. And there's some information that we just got, which we are checking. We have to double check.
Yeah, but even apart from that, we have a 20, so at least now it's 23. The gender
23.
minister has lost.
The gender minister
In Wale.
has lost.
Guess who he lost to?
Who did she lose to?
She lost to Baumia's technical advisor, Dr. Kabiru Mahama.
So the advisor of Dr. Baumia, that's Dr. Kabiru Mahama, has won.
Wale
Wale primaries of the NPP.
And the spokesman too has won.
The spokesman too
and
has
then
won, so.
also Dr. Gideon Bwako has won.
Real power shift manifesting.
Very interesting developments there, and as well, that also paints a certain picture, at least, because if we have about 3 or 4 persons who are associated with the vice president quite strongly, who have won the primaries as well. I mean, in Subing as well, when we were running through it, we also did some analysis with the person who beat the incumbent there, who has also strong ties with the vice president. Now, this also brings up another layer of conversation when it comes to how things are going to play out in the run-up to the 2024 elections, because issues about how the vice president also influenced this process would come up. And people are going to live with those hard feelings about being either done against by the incumbent, or the incumbent advantage, or the state machinery being used or marshaled to support a certain candidate who is from the vice president's office. That cannot be wished away. That is
Of
not.
course, I mean, and my lecturer, Dr. Asar Santi, is here. He taught us about political transition in political science. The tectonic plates are shifting. People know that from 2025, Akufo-Addo will no more be there. Who is the leader of the party, Dr. Baumia? Alliances will shift. These are all manifestations of political transitions. You get that point. So, I mean, the Baumia boys would definitely be on the front foot now. And so, I mean, we were talking about English Shaman from earlier on, and the problems that Sylvester Tete was having. Sylvester, early on, when Alan Tremartin decided to leave the race, decided that he was going to pitch camp with Dr. Baumia. But even with that, he was still facing, challenges. In Apia Kubi's constituency, the other Obuo's constituency, where Asante Achim South. One of the incumbent MP, he had issues about when Baumia came there, he did not give him the direct regard and all those things. We saw how much of a run for his money Obuo gave him, even though he lost a bit. So all these, the shifting of the tectonic plates when it comes to politics and issues around transition are to be expected, because from in the electioneering in the run up to the 2024 election, Akufo-Addo will not be on the ballot again. It will be Baumia on the ballot. So alliances will quickly shift, and those who are in his caging cabinet and in his caucus, just as it did from the Kufuor era, when people began to lose relevance because the Akufo-Addo team was in charge. Now, it's the same thing that would happen, irrespective of the fact that there's a vice president who we know has a strong backing of President Akufo-Addo. But like it or hate it, President Akufo-Addo has served his term. He will be exiting office in 2025. And so the power base of the New Patriotic Party, which he occupies, power abhors vacuum. There's definitely a way that that vacuum will be filled. Dr. Bawumia has filled that. And so alliances and allegiances will shift towards him. So it's not surprising that Bawumia boys are winning and they are beating ministers of state. So Gideon Buaku beat Frida Prempe, minister, and then the gender minister has also been beaten by another Bawumia boy, Kabiru.
That tells story. And Dr. Sasanti, I'll bring you in, but let me just remind you that we're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, also 3FM 927 on Facebook as well. What we're getting from the Yendi constituency so far is that supporters of Hajia Abibata Shani have vowed to resist any attempt to skew the election in favor of Farouk Aliu Mahama. So that is the information that we're getting from our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent, Chris Amwakon, who is following this quite closely for us. But Dr. Sasanti, this development of the paradigm shift that we're seeing now, a lot of the people who associated themselves quite closely to the vice president and the flag bearer of the NPP are winning to contest and represent the NPP in 2024. What does that tell you?
There are a number of perspectives that you can glean from this. One, it's a game plan. All right. If you are a leader of a party and you are contesting, you want to build a certain background to support your effort. So you have to get some people that they will be your boys within your kitchen cabinet, and then you are comfortable to work with them. Especially when some of them are people you've worked with already and all that. It's easy for you to support them so that they can win and then give you the necessary support that you have. So it's a natural phenomenon within political scheme of things, and that when there is a new leader, people gravitate towards him and then they want to, get associated with a person so as to benefit one way or the other. It is also a strategy. It is a real strategy to test your popularity and also prepare yourself for a better life one day. If maybe Bawumia contested this election and he doesn't win, then he's able to marshal a number of forces in this type of discussion we are talking about. Then the next time he contests again, you realize that these people will come up strongly to support his cause and all that. If he wins, these are going to be his lieutenants that he's going to administer with, he has trust with and all that. So these things do not happen just by accident. No, it's a careful plan aimed at making sure that you get your right support base and that anytime you fall on them, they can deliver the good as expected from them.
Ali, so we know 23, this time the number has increased to 23 incumbent MPs, at least, we should just say, because we're still monitoring, and from the trend we've seen, we started from 6 to 10 to 17, 20, 21, 22, we're talking about 23 now. We're still looking at some of the results in other areas where we've received information that some incumbent MPs have lost. We want to confirm that. For instance, we're monitoring what's happening in the Trobo constituency. We'll tell you shortly as well, and what is happening in Yendi as well, because the police has issued a statement on what has happened in the Yendi constituency. I'm going to read the statement coming through from the Ghana Police Service. They've arrested one suspect and is on a manhunt for others in Yendi for electoral-related offences. The persons are suspected to have damaged electoral materials during the sorting of ballots in the ongoing internal parliamentary elections of the New Patriotic Party. The police worked together with the military in line with their established continuous protocols to restore law, order, and security in the area. No persons were injured during the disturbances. They wish to also assure the public that all persons behind this unfortunate act shall be arrested and prosecuted in accordance with the law. So this is the statement from the police: arrest of one person and on a manhunt for others in the Yendi electoral-related disturbances. That's what's happening right now, and this is a constituency that we're keeping an eye on. here on your election command center, and Christopher Macron is there for us. So stay with us here on your election command center as we update you every step of the way. And with the NPP decides as they elect the various candidates to represent the party in 102 constituencies ahead of election 2024. Dr. Sasante is a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Legon Political Science Department. Dr. Sasante, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I did this with my colleague, Duke Mensah Opoku, who is with our political desk, a political affairs correspondent, and then also Na Ashoko, who also joined us earlier. My name is Alfred Okanse on behalf of the rest of the team. Stay with us here on your election command center. The coverage continues.
Candidate, I am going to ensure that he's mercilessly beaten to pulp. I will humiliate him at the post and get him beaten. I'm going to I'm just putting you on notice. I will not disorganize anything here. But get him wherever he is. He should leave town. Chief, you are two about 24 years in the come and see. My top boys. Now, Mr. Prime, who could take care for the 7? Mobile baby, no way, a person get to the ground. Now they are begging. I said, now, some of them came to my house, my trouble. Now, my brother, my trouble, who free here? I'll poor like you, over woman, Mr. Commander, and I am going to give him a showdown. 2 forms of showdown. I'll beat him here, I will humiliate him here, and then organize for him to be beaten physically. Thank you very much. I will be so